In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. Don't call me by my name. Just listen to what I gotta say on the C3 Panthers Podcast, the longest running show on the intranets for the Carolina Panthers. And it's because we have this dedicated group, this panel right here, that will not quit talking about the Carolina Panthers. And one of those members is Cody Lashney. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, I'm a wonderful man. I would love to do nothing more than talk about my Carolina Panthers on a Tuesday night with my home dogs and the livest YouTube Panthers fan base that there is. We've got the Knowles, Underground West, Susan Deans, Tin Tizzy, Chef Jeff, Panther Blue. Yes, King David will probably put him in timeout at some point. But whatever, it's all love. Tony Dunn, and nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
We got Codizzle at Codizzle Allen. You better follow him.
I have an echo according to the chat room.
Oh, there's an echo? For who? Everybody?
I don't know. Just a bad echo.
I don't hear my end, but maybe hear you two.
All right. Oh, I got it. Where you at? Fixed. Say something.
Fixed. Sorry, my voice is so annoying at the start of the show. Tony?
All right, I think we got it fixed. I hope we got it fixed. I think I see the problem. All right. We also have CK in the house. At Codizzle Allen.
What's up, boys? I'm on my way home, so that's why you're not seeing this ugly mug yet, but it's coming.
All right. Well, the hardest working man on the planet is my man CK, and we're going to be going to that Seahawks game. We're excited, man, even though we're trying to get over this loss. And we also got the Bat Daddy back. Greg, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. I got my Batman gear on. Today's the first day I felt normal. I just felt weird yesterday after that game. I mean, I know the game was Sunday, but like yesterday, the whole day, man, it was like a ass-whooping hangover. You know, today I felt a little normal, so I'm doing all right. Ready to get over this game.
All right. Well, it was a beatdown of beatdowns. We kind of we aired our grievances, Cody, in the post-game show. We had a giant turnout. 70 people watched the show. Didn't get as many thumbs ups as we deserve, so make sure you make up for it tonight by smashing the thumbs up button and subscribing to the podcast. The postgame show's already got over 1,200 views. Those San Francisco 49er fans getting on our YouTube channel and gloating. But Cody, what was the dang final score when it was all said and done? 51 to what?
51 to 13. Brutal points, man. Just another embarrassing performance on a primetime stage in front of the world and the country watching us against one of the more legendary NFL teams, and they just paddled our ass, And yeah, we had a lively debate last pregame. We were both, I feel like it was a tag team match, me and Cody versus you and Greg on, is it the coaches, is it the players? I think ultimately we all did agree that it was on everyone. I mean, it takes a team and a staff to lose a football game that bad. But for the large part, I'm still kind of feeling the same way. We have one of the better rosters in the NFL. I believe in this Carolina Panthers football team, and I believe that they're going to be able to make plays, and even if they have to, overcome some of their coaching staff woes in order to do it.
This is the 40th episode of the season already, and tonight's show is Get Right or Get Out, right? I mean, what the heck is that? The Panthers got to get right, or actually not get right or get out, get right or get lost. And you can take that how you want it. Is that with coaches? Is that with some of the players? I don't know. We're going to try to figure that out tonight and to see how meaningful this game is. We got a guest coming on at 1:30. His name is Stoney Keely. He is the host of the Unofficial Tennessee Titans podcast, which is also part of the Overtime Network, which the C3 Panthers podcast is also part of. So you can check out, Google Overtime Network and Overtime Podcast to find your greatest podcast for your team or for opposing teams. I like to go listen to other people's takes because I know a lot about the Panthers, but we're trying to learn from Stoney what we're facing tonight. And the Titans are slightly rejuvenated under the leadership of Ryan Tannehill. So we'll be asking him about Ryan Tannehill, where their team's at, why they've been so wishy-washy, and how they can, if they're starting to take steps forward. I want to encourage everybody to subscribe to the show. You can be a part of the show by calling in to the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. We try to cultivate a community of fans here, and you can see that community in the chat room right now. The people, they know what's up. Look, 89J Stubbs coming with a contribution already. He said, don't worry about the foot. Marty has a plan. Thank you, 89J Stubbs, Joey Esquivel, Susan, all of you for your support. Ken D. And if you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, consider dropping us a line on Twitter. You can find me at @cat_chronicles. Guys, let's go ahead and talk quickly about this. Now we have a little time behind us. Where are we now after this loss? Are you in a worse place than you were on Sunday, or are you in a better place now that you've had it simmer a little bit?
I'll let some of my other co-hosts jump in on this one first. Greg, what you thinking, man?
Go for it.
I'll go ahead and hop on that. I don't really think I'm in a worse place. I still feel just as confident as I did about this team before, as far as, I always feel like they're going to be a competitive team. And I agree with Cody. We have a very talented roster. I don't think one time getting your ass handed to you changes how good your roster is. I mean, sometimes it just happens. It does bring up some questions for me about what's going on in the future with our quarterback situation. I know it's just all the time is what we're talking about, but it's the biggest thing going on right now with our team. I didn't have a lot of faith in Kyle Allen before, so there wasn't a lot to lose. Like, I knew I could see through the woods, and I could see he was a game manager. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's nowhere near Cam Newton when Cam Newton's fully healthy. Even when Cam Newton's not fully healthy, I think he's a better quarterback than this. My question I had to ask myself was, and actually I didn't ask this. My friend Sarah Taylor, who's probably in the chat room right now, asked me, would the situation have been the same if Cam Newton would have been in there instead of Kyle Allen? Like, do you guys feel like we would have had the same result? Or do you think that what happened didn't have as much to do about Kyle Allen, but just getting our asses whooped?
It wouldn't have been as bad.
You don't think so?
No.
I would have trusted Cam Newton down the stretch to be a better quarterback and make some plays. And also when I've had the chance to look a little bit at different clips from the All-22, and even early in the football game, there were plays that, even on little slant routes and things like that, where Cam Newton loves to connect with DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. Kyle Allen's a one-read quarterback. At least it was against San Francisco. He wasn't reading the field well. He wasn't doing all the things that you have to do to be a starting level quarterback in the NFL. So I do think that Cam Newton would have absolutely have done better. But again, I'm going to be that old goat. I just think that Kyle Shanahan ruled the day, and he had a better game plan, specifically for his offense against our defense. We had no answer for anything that they did, and it was just running the football. So I don't know that we would have won that with Cam Newton, but it certainly would have been a better performance than what was showed.
I'll say one thing, and then I'm going to go radio silent for about 5 minutes. So I don't think it would have been as bad. I don't think Cam Newton would have been the difference maker in this, because I think then that goes against what our argument was on Sunday, which is that it's coaching. but I do think that there was too many opportunities gifted to the 49ers. That 51 points, if you think about it, there's about 35 points that we gifted them with very short yardage, right? So you take that out of the equation. We had, 3 back-to-back fourth down conversions that didn't convert while we were on their side of the field. The 3 interceptions gave them great field position on all 3 of those. Luckily unfortunately, one of them was a big run back by Bosa. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of decisions that could have altered the outcome as far as the scoreboard, but I don't believe the actual outcome of the game would have changed had Cam Newton been in there.
Okay.
The only way I think that it would have changed, guys, is that if there was some sort of different confidence that all right, so here's the problem, is that every time we tried to make a stand in that game and say, all right, we're putting our foot down, enough of this shit, we are making a stop here, we get a sack, we then just let them blast past us, or they came out with a 3-and-out. We never could put together 2 or 3 drives together, defense, offense, defense. And maybe, I guess, Cam can contribute to that, but I don't think so. I think that this was on the defense, this game, while the offense was, they were in a tough position. I'm not saying I don't want to absolve them, but at the same time, the defense let these guys run 240 yards on us. They put up 51 points, and their quarterback didn't even throw crest over 175 yards passing. That's unheard of. I don't know if I've ever heard of that. And so we did hook them up. We hooked them up. And like you said, helping them out in field position, maybe that's where Cam would have been done something different. But I, Cody, feel worse about this game. I don't know what it is about this season, but I built these expectations in my secret expectations in my heart when I look at what I thought was what could be. You get these young receivers, you're expecting deep balls, and Curtis Samuel just smoking mugs. Christian McCaffrey has lived up to that, but I feel like the word missed, and where I think I've walked closer to your hill, Cody, about Ron Rivera, is the reason I want to protect Ron Rivera is because I don't know what not Ron Rivera is, and I know he's a lot better than 55-60% of the league in coaches. But where I have felt worse today than I did on Sunday is that this is a season of missed opportunities, whether it be the first game against the Rams. Do you remember how angry I was after the Rams game at your house? Because I felt like we missed a moment to seize an opportunity. You look at Tampa Bay, you're there on the goal line. You miss a moment to seize the opportunity. Now, Ron Rivera can't make the plays, but here, I think this week, why were we not sharper? And I do think that you have a lot of credence to your position, but I also think we have a lot of credence that like at some point these cats were just bad, right? And it don't matter what the coaches could have done. But you do have to say, why haven't they won? They haven't won the game for us yet. It's like the Graham Gano conundrum. Is like you don't win us games. You don't always lose us games, but you just don't win them either.
The Ken 867 said, "Don't say it, man. Don't say missed opportunities."
I know. It's terrible.
Ron Rivera's favorite catchphrase. But Tony, I really do understand what you're saying, man. I mean, even if anything, if you love Ron Rivera or if you hate Ron Rivera, he has represented a level of consistency in the Carolina Panthers organization. When year in, year out, Ron Rivera is the leader of the football team. And it is scary to think about the future of the team outside of Ron Rivera. But I kind of go back to the metaphor that I was making at the end of the year last year. I wanted to pull that Band-Aid at that point in time because it's going to hurt more and more the longer that you don't do it. And now there are other head coaches that are no longer an option anymore. Now, that being said, the season is still very much alive. We're not dead by any means. We're 4-3 right now. I do feel that Ron Rivera, I mean, listen, this season the man is coaching for his job. And if he is not able to kick this team in the ass and have them understand the things that they're doing wrong and actually improve upon the things that they needed to do in order to remedy the mistakes that they made, Ron Rivera has to prove himself that he can transition this team from the early months of football to the later months of football where it matters far more.
I don't know if why this game bothered me so much, because after an 0-2 start, we're 4-3, you're playing a 6-0 team. You know, did I think we were going to win? I did. I thought that we were a good team. I didn't know how good the San Francisco 49ers were. But the problem that I have with this game, again, it goes back to the Steelers game last year. And I don't want to overly draw that parallel, but the team is very well of this. It's the way we lost. You know, we talk about all these times where we lose by one score. You're one play out. We weren't one play out in this game. We weren't one person out. We got just curb stomped. So I want you to think about this, because we're going to go into the cat calls right after I read this copy ad right here. But I want you to think about this. Did this game potentially solidify the end of the Ron Rivera era? I know that's a lot to ask, but I mean, if the Panthers reel off something crazy, but what is it going to take to come back from this loss from a reputation standpoint with the ownership? But I do want to remind you guys, if you're going to try to head to the game on Sunday and the Panthers are going to get right against the Tennessee Titans, don't worry. Ryan Tannehill will fumble the ball forward like he did the last time we played him in Miami and win us the game. And if you want to go to this game and you want an easy way to get tickets, I suggest getting the Vivid Seats app. They have a Vivid Seats reward program that rewards you for your loyalty, kind of like when you go to a store and they have that little card that they appreciate you as a customer. It's easy. You download the app. You can find your seats. You can find a ticket for the price you like, and you can get to that game. Or you could go to it's too late to go to the World Series tonight. But guys, Vivid Seats will hook you up, and don't worry, if you use the overtime code, and you need to use the overtime code because it lets you know that you listen to this show and that you care about what we say, use that promo code OVERTIME to receive $100 discount of up to $100. Don't forget, every purchase is backed by 100% buyer guarantee. From the biggest concerts to the biggest games to the hottest theater shows, Vivid Seats has it all. Get the app. Use the promo code OVERTIME. Guys, I think while we think on that question about Ron Rivera and what this, or maybe what I want you guys, and let's see where the cat calls take us. But what do you really think at this point that this season could be? And also, I got to shame the audience. There's 54 people watching now. We got 11 thumbs up. Smash the thumbs up, folks. Call into the cat calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's see what you guys got to say.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, yo, what up, Cat Chronicles crew? What's going on, guys? Yo, this is Big J from way out in sunny San Diego, California, man.
Oh, beautiful place. Thank you, Big J.
Just getting back home. I just been thinking about this game.
Talk to us, Jay.
I honestly watched most of the game. First of all, let me go ahead and say, man, I really do enjoy what you guys do, man. I'm a huge Panthers fan, and I haven't really found a resourceful podcast or anywhere to like find some quality content all the time. But you guys do a really good job, man.
Thank you very much.
I found out about your guys' podcast this year, and I really do appreciate what y'all do, man. It's been a pretty good fun year just listening to y'all. So I really appreciate what y'all do. But man, yeah, this game, dog. What do you guys think, man? Like, I got one question. I got two questions.
Hurts my heart.
Coming off a bye week, how do you bring that performance coming off a bye week? Like, what the hell was Ron Rivera and the coaching staff doing this entire bye week, bro? Like, how do you put up get 50 piece put up on you by the Niners? Like, it seemed like the Niners, it seemed like they were way more prepared. It seemed like they had the bye week and they were preparing for us like we should have been preparing for them. I don't understand that shit, man.
Giant questions.
Second question, man. What happened to the offense, man? What's going on with Kyle Allen, dog? Like, what's going on with our receivers, man? What's going on with the cat back? How are we just going to rely on 22? Like, he's a beast, but, like, what's going on, man? Like, we got DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, and we're not using these guys. And, like, we could have attacked the Niners' defense. We could have attacked their weaknesses, man. And we just didn't get it
I don't
done,
know if
man.
they have any, to be honest.
Dog. Like the Kyle Shanahan really just slapped Ron Rivera in the face and just really showed him how to do his job, man. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think, man? It really does suck watching these games and watching the Panthers. Like, we always hype them up, man. And, like, then we complain about how we don't get any kind of, like, love at all. Any kind of love from the media, nothing. And then we have these 50-piece games put on us, bro. Like, what the fuck, bro? It's, like, disrespectful, man. Like, I've been hyping up our defense for this entire week, and this is what we get, bro. Like, it's disrespect, man. But, you know, it is what it is, man. We got to keep moving forward. It's going to be nice seeing Cam Newton come back. We'll see what's going on. I'm really looking forward to Cam coming back, man. This team, we need our mojo back, and hopefully he brings his mojo back and get this shit rolling, bro. But, you know, as it is always, man, keep pounding. We'll live another down, man. We'll see the next week. Well, we got the Titans. We'll see what's going on, man. But you guys keep doing what y'all doing, man. I appreciate what y'all do. Looking forward to the podcast on Tuesday. Keep pounding, though, man. Checking out.
Keep pounding. Appreciate you, brother. And shout out to our den mother, Susan Deans, for the $14.99 love bomb. You know we love you, Susan. Yeah, I mean, really, the caller, I'm just being honest, the caller said a lot of what I was saying on the postgame show. And so, listen, I want to make something abundantly clear, because a lot of times I'm very hard on Norv Turner. And, I mean, just flat out, I don't believe that Turner can do what, say, a Kyle Shanahan or a Sean McVay or an Andy Reid can cook up. But with that said, this loss was not really on Ron Rivera. I mean, it was not really on Norv Turner. It was on Ron Rivera. This was 100% on Ron Rivera not being able to adjust the defense, which, by the way, the defense is his calling card. And again, by the way, played Kyle Shanahan multiple times before when Shanahan was with Atlanta. So he knew what kind of things Shanahan does well. And even still, Ron Rivera's defense, which all of us believe to be one of the better defensive fronts in the NFL, didn't look that way. And that's 100% on Eric Washington, one, but then on Ron Rivera even more so.
Our run defense is suspect, dude. Our run defense is suspect. And I know that is coaching. I know that's part coaching. But I also wonder if that has to do with our new system.
Well, I don't. I mean, I'll let you go right after this, Greg. I'm not buying that, man. I do not buy that the 3-4, it's easy to run the football against. There are so many football teams that run a 3-4 that have stout run defense. I'm not a buyer in the mindset that you either defend the run or defend the pass. I believe that you can do both from a 4-3 or a 3-4, but you have to know what you're doing.
Well, our players were out of position, Greg. They were out of position. Mm-hmm. Ron Rivera talked about it in the press conference. I disciplined. But I tell you one thing is that I think I got more frustrated about Ron Rivera after I watched his press conference. Yeah. And I used to feel like I liked Ron Rivera in his press conference, a super steely resolve, a unshaken confidence that if we do things right, things will get better. I think the media takes it way too easy on Ron. They asked him this today. He said, yeah, there were some things that we could have done differently that would have helped. And he said, and we did some of those things too, and they worked. And then everybody just left the question alone. I want to know, what were those things? When did you do them? And prove it to me, Mug. Prove it.
Well, going back to what you were talking about before about asking about the 3-4 defense is maybe the reason why we're not being such good of a run defense. I think it was about the middle of last year when the streak was broken. I think we'd had a season and a half without a single 100-yard rusher on us. And then I'm not sure the exact numbers. And then somebody broke it last year. And then I think every game this season we've had over 100 yards rushing on us. On the first year we've been doing the 3-4. So I don't know if it has anything to do with it because I'm not as well versed with that kind of stuff. But it could. I mean, the stats point to that. That's what it is. So I think that may be part of the reason why our run defense is not as good. Our pass defense is much better than it was, or than it has been historically. But we have better players on our defensive line this year than we did last year. I mean, the only player maybe we're missing that wasn't as good that last year that we have this year is Thomas Davis. But we've made up for that, with a few players on the defensive line, and we are giving up more rushing yards per game. So I think it does have to do with the 3-4 scheme. Now, Cody, what you were saying is there are plenty of 3-4 teams that can stop the run. I just think that this may be, for us, maybe the reason why we're having such a hard time stopping the run, because ever since we've changed to it, I have to go back and look at it, but I think we've given up at least 100 yards rushing every game this year.
No, that is a good point.
Only one we didn't. Only one game. It is Tampa.
It is new for us, and that is true. It's not new for Ron Rivera. I mean, it is in that he's having to try these shoes on again and go back to doing something that he isn't used to doing. But listen, when you're able to win in the trenches, it masks a lot of things. Wow. And, when you're able to get after the quarterback and you're getting pushed and you allow Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson to flow to the football, it makes everything easy. So, with that said, I just feel like we are very dependent upon our defensive line winning their one-on-one matchups. And if that doesn't happen, then it's really easy for these offensive lines to pull and get to the second level and allow teams to run the football on us. And I think what I'm afraid of going forward, specifically coming into Tennessee with Derrick Henry coming at us, is that teams are going to continue to run the football, because now, the 49ers have shown what's effective, how you face an aggressive Ron Rivera 3-4 defense. So that's why adjustment at this point in time is everything. It's do or die right now for Ron Rivera and this defense.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I agree with you that there should be in-game adjustments made if something's not working, but I don't think we should change our entire scheme because we got blown up by the best rushing offense in the NFL right now. And you got to take that in consideration. They got a three-headed monster, and they're the best rushing offense in the NFL. So, I don't want to get blown up by them, but I don't think we should immediately change our game plan. We should game plan for the opponent, not just have one broad game plan for everybody.
Agree.
Tony, one question I wanted to ask you, actually, Cody and Tony. You mentioned something earlier about Ron Rivera being on the hot seat. I haven't heard that anywhere in stories on the media. I haven't heard people talking about it, and he sure doesn't coach like he's on the hot seat. Do you think he really is, or do you think it's just speculation from us? Because he's definitely not coaching aggressive.
I can't see how he's not.
I agree. I can't see how he's not either. But I cannot.
Well, that's because I think that people would be stoking the fire a little bit, maybe quicker. They're worried. They're worried about this, and they're worried about the one thing that I worry about when I say I kind of think that game probably was a big nail in Ron Rivera's coffin. And the reason I think this is I don't think in one game he's lost anything. It's not like that. The Panthers could reel off 10 straight or whatever, 9 straight, and then kick ass. But that's kind of a pipe dream. Maybe Cam can do it. Maybe Cam can will us. Maybe this is a fluke. But we're coming off a couple of years. I think the novelty or the allure of 2015 is worn off, right? It wore off last year. yes, we gave up. I think the ownership did the right thing, keeping people together, understanding that Cam Newton was hurt, not being rash. But I don't know right now. I think what I've just been so disappointed in the last couple of years with Ron's teams and our team is that we don't seem to have a laser focus.
Yeah.
At times where we really know we should. You know, it's one thing to have a game where you get a trap game and people beat us and you were really good and you missed the moment. Everything was going too well and it was a trap. But that doesn't seem like this is. This seems like the Pittsburgh game. It seems like every time we get an opportunity to really say, fuck you, we got the big dick, we shrivel and we pre-eject, you know. That's what I think. And that's where, I mean, and at some point, I think it's execution of this and that. I think it's this, but at what point do we just say the team just didn't have the right mentality? And I don't know. That's where I'm kind of, I think Cody's been just indoctrinated.
I've been hammering this home. Listen, and I kind of want to make this clear. You know, I mean, we're fans. When we talk about firing people, like, none of this is ever personal. And I even said this last year. I'm sure that Ron Rivera is a great man, an even better father, and I have no doubt in my mind that all the players love him. But CK, I think it was last week, made a perfect comparison for Kyle Allen to Case Keenum and the 2017 Minnesota Vikings. Well, in my mind, Ron Rivera is Chuck Pagano, the former head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. Okay. Everyone loves him. People love to be around him. But at a certain point, after so many years, it's become easy for the team to kind of tune him out. And that's coach just talking. And there isn't a lot of urgency to what Ron Rivera says anymore. And
we've missed so many opportunities.
I maintain that when you have had 2 seasons in a row where you're in prime time and you're thoroughly embarrassed, this time coming off of a bye, I mean, who does that? None of the better coaches in the NFL would ever let that happen. And it's now that we have to be honest enough with ourselves to say that that's a problem. Now our team is having to overcome that. And it's difficult because I'm an optimist, man. I want to look forward to the Tennessee Titans and not have to worry about this. But I've felt this way for a long time, and I'm just not very confident at all anymore about Ron Rivera and him bringing us to the next level and utilizing this talent.
Maybe, though, and in defense of Ron, is maybe we've overinflated the talent of our roster.
Possibly. Very possibly.
I don't think so, man. I really don't.
All right, let's go to the next call. Our guest's gonna be coming soon, so let's go on to the next call. See what they got.
Yep.
Yo, what's good, C3 Nation? It's Big J again from San Diego, California, man. I actually wanted to ask one more question, man. I just saw a tweet from Cody asking about, or he pointed out something about Ron Rivera's winning streak and how he's just not an efficient current modern day coach, and he had 9 seasons, and he only had 3 winning seasons. I just wanted to ask you guys one more question, man. Like, no matter what happens throughout the season, even if we have a successful season, is this the last year for Ron Rivera?
I think you're reading our minds, brother.
Yeah. Because even if he has a winning season, you still look at his overall record. What do you think?
Let me ask you this. What will it take? Is this the end of the road
for Ron? Are we just going to write it out, see what happens? Or what do you guys think, man?
What will it take
from you guys? But, keep on them, man. You guys take it easy.
Yeah, thank you for the support. Thank you for the call. What would it truly take? And that is, do the Panthers just get to the playoffs, which is going to be a milestone in itself? Is that the way that the Saints keep the division is 1 game away from being out of reach, I feel like. I mean, I haven't done the math yet, but they're starting to pull away.
Well, yeah, and knowing the Saints and how consistent they are,
They don't seem to be getting worse. Drew Brees came back. He didn't miss a beat.
Right,
No.
but mathematically, they're only 2 games ahead of us, and we still have to play them twice. So we're not by any means out of the chance of winning this division.
100%.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm trying to toe the line of being honest about Ron Rivera and the coaches, but at the same time, I'm not done with this season yet. I'm not giving up on this season. I believe too much in the players on this football team, and that's why I said I disagree with you that I don't think that we inflated the roster. But now we've been humbled, we've had our asses paddled like children, and now it's time to turn it on and put up or shut up. Yeah. And Ron Rivera, I mean, listen, every day you have to prove that you are worth your job, and Ron Rivera has to do that now. Because David Tepper is not going to take another season where we start out on fire and then fall off of a cliff. Not only is it embarrassing, but David Tepper did not pay almost $3 billion for a football team to be an embarrassment after getting everyone's hopes up.
Yeah. Well, going back to what you were talking about a moment ago, where like just now with 2 primetime games, how we've been embarrassed in the last 2 years. Well, last year's primetime game with the Steelers, look at it realistically, we were in that game until the hit. Until Cam Newton got hurt. We were well in that game. We were handing it to him. So coaching was doing well, and the players were doing well. And as far as the rest of the season goes, I know you just said, having a great beginning of the season then tanking, or not tanking, but just kind of dropping off. It's all because of the Cam Newton injury. I fully believe that if Cam Newton was healthy last year, 13-3 season. 13-3, 12-4, maybe easy division winner.
Well, I got a good friend that says if my aunt had nuts, she would be my uncle.
That's true.
Am I that friend?
Yes, you are that friend. I'm interested though in what it would take. What if is it 10-6 and you miss the playoffs? Does that keep you? I'm interested also in this is what I mean. There are some things I think if somehow we scrape Cam comes back, we get back on track and we win the division. I mean, I think you got to stay, right? You can't fire him then. If you finish strong and make the playoff, but I feel like if you finish at 500 right now, I don't know how much longer we can keep just saying, well, what if my aunt was my uncle.
Yeah. I tell you what I don't want is I don't want a Marvin Lewis situation where every year we have the same coach who's just not like.
Well, that's what Cody's saying. That's what Cody's saying. All right, let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, Kyle from VA. Just calling back to the last show. Just finished listening to it. Not to harp on what we were talking about Sunday, but to say that football is not a game of chess, when you go back and watch the film from this game, I don't know how you say that. I mean, when you go back and watch how the 49ers ran their offense and how they pull their guards, how they block with their fullbacks, how they do little delayed pitches, how they scheme around a decent but not great quarterback, and just, I mean, absolutely tore us apart. When you're pulling your guards the right way, when you know what type of personnel you have, what they can do, what their strengths and weaknesses are, that's how you destroy a team like that. We haven't.
I think it's overinflated how much they did that.
Have been the
it's
best
not, though.
Yes, it is.
So they took that in
as
their game plan, and just go back and watch how they were running their misdirections, their sweeps, their receivers, and how they were pulling their guards.
Their
how they were blocking.
Tackle would just maul dudes.
Steal the edge, block and release, because he knows that pulling guard's going to be right on his fucking ass.
Yeah.
When he releases, he knows that guard's going to hit that edge next, and that fullback can go to the next level. That's good coaching. That's a coach beating it into his players' heads.
Well, I'll give you that. Beating technique. Beating technique.
I'm not trying to harp on it, but I don't see how you say football's not a game of chess. And also, I'm gonna try to fit this into one call.
I don't think we said it wasn't a game of chess.
When I was talking about tanking the season, I don't want to because I want to see the Panthers make the playoffs, make a deep run, and try to compete for the Super Bowl every year. But unless you're the Patriots, you're not going to compete for the Super Bowl every year. And when this injury came out about Cam and the Liz Frank, my understanding was that that's a pretty significant injury.
Yeah, I agree.
Cam saying he can't even run around the stadium. And now we're calling for Cam to come back next week. I pray to God that Ron
not
Rivera's
coming back till Green Bay.
That. I mean, there's no way Cam's back to 100%. You put Cam back in there at 90%, we're not going to do nothing. And when you look at these other teams,
that's a real concern.
49ers, undefeated, the Seahawks, they're going to be a wild card.
Vikings.
If the 49ers don't fall off a little bit and take that wild card.
All right, so I do want to address this as someone who plays an unhealthy or a very healthy amount of chess. I play chess nonstop, like chess.com app, folks. Add me, True King 1111. We'll go at it. These daily games, man, are the best. But I tell you this, is that sometimes my best chess is when I just smash mugs, and that is you just pummel them and pummel them and pummel them, and that's what the 49ers did to us. But before we get, our guest is here, but before we get to him, because he's part of the Overtime Network, he knows about this, is that we're halfway through the season, folks, and the Panthers are hosting the Tennessee Titans. We're 4.5-point favorites, and I think it's a 42 over under. If you want to get in on the action, you need to go to MyBookie.ag. Be sure to use the promo code OVERTIME. It's the most trusted sports book in America. It's easy. You check the lines. You can bet on props. One of the things I'm into right now is following the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Carolina Hurricanes are you can bet on players if they get an assist. You can do prop bets. You can do mid-season bets. You can buy points in the middle of a game if you don't like where you're standing. MyBookie.ag, it's a place to go where you know that you're going to put your money in. It's safe, and if you are a good, smart wagerer, you're going to win, and you're going to get paid. MyBookie.ag, you can bet on anything from Cody. Isn't there a big MMA fight right now, like tonight or sometime?
Yes, there is this Saturday night, Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal for the official bad motherfucker belt. That is a real belt that the UFC is actually giving away. So, Yes, I am pumped for that.
So you go to mybookie.ag, you play, you win, you get paid. If you use the overtime code, they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. Mybookie.ag, overtime. Say C3 Panthers sent you, but we don't give you betting advice. I'm going to talk to Raphael Esparza later on in the show, but I don't listen to my betting advice. It's all just for fun. Put your money there. It's safe. All right, let's go on to the next segment of the show. Sorry, Stoney Keely, Overtime Network. Go ahead and unmute your mic. The Unofficial Tennessee Titans podcast. I love the name. Take that. Copyright that, Muggs. Come at me, bro. Right? But Stoney Keely, did I pronounce the Keely part right?
You sure did, my man. I appreciate that. It doesn't happen very often.
All right. Well, at one point they used to call me Stoney Tony. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, don't tell nobody. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we brought you on. Look, is that first? Thank you for taking your time out. I had the email. I sent the email in my mind at 8:45. And I'm sitting here looking, and it's sitting there right in the drafts. Boom! Hit send, Tony. Hit send. But the Panthers are going to host the Tennessee Titans, and I hate to offend you as the first moment you come on the show, but we have titled the show "Get Right or Get Lost," and we need the Titans to be a get right team, and that's what we're looking at them as. But the Titans have been winning a little bit. Ryan Tannehill takes over. There's a lot of things to talk about. We don't know a ton about the Tennessee Titans. So, as you are approaching the Carolina Panthers game, here's the mic. What's on your mind?
Well, I can tell you, I don't know what to make of this team because they've only unequivocally won 2 games this season. They've only unequivocally lost 2 games this season. They could easily be 6-2. They could easily be 2-6, but they're sitting there at 4-4 right now. And I'm listening to a little bit of C3 before you have me on there. You guys sound like you're having a rough week, but I can assure you that Kyle Shanahan ain't taking that field on Sunday. And a lot of teams have had bad performances against the 49ers this season so far. I think this game is going to make Ron Rivera look like a genius. You guys are going to be having a totally different show next week.
Wow.
I like your confidence, sir.
Listen, the people in Nashville don't like what I have to say about the Titans.
All right.
But I'm
well,
honest.
first of all,
like
I think you sound to me like what I would expect a Titans fan to sound like.
Is that right?
But for some reason,
is that good or bad?
Well, because I hate the Titans. I'm going to go tell you this. I'm honest.
Okay.
I hate the Titans, and it's not because I hate the team themselves, but I go on a weekly radio spot on my buddy's radio show. We do picks every week, right? At some time in the past, the Tennessee Titans have been my darling, and they failed me. I've been more on the Bills train for the last 4 years, I feel like. But I just never get the Titans. I never can figure them out. When I think they're going to win, they lose miserably. When I think they're going to lose miserably, they somehow find to be relevant or win. And that's where I think that what you sound like is realistic on this. Is it's hard to gauge who the Titans truly are. It's week to week. It's wishy-washy, and it's not even like you can see a momentum building. Right when you think you're building momentum and building a culture, you're rebuilding at quarterback.
Yeah, you said it better than I could have myself. And sure, the Titans are on a 2-game win streak right now, and people are optimistic about that. But if you look at those games, it took a bizarre ending against the Chargers and Melvin Gordon fumbling at the goal line, Jarrell Casey recovering for them to win that game. Last week, they're fortunate to win the Bucs game. They were gifted two starting field positions inside the 10 that Ryan Tannehill threw touchdown passes on. They convert that, and even later in the game, Mike Vrabel goes for a fake field goal that for some reason the refs blew the whistle dead, or else you're talking about another Tampa Bay touchdown. The Titans don't win that game. So, like I said, this is very close to a 2-16.
So, Stoney, this is Cody, by the way. I'm going to jump in and ask you a question right quick here. And, we're in the same division as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we have Gene from the Buck What You Heard podcast on all the time. And that 2015 draft is such a story between Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. Mm-hmm. And we know what Tampa Bay fans, for the most part, think about Jameis Winston, but we really don't ever get an opportunity to hear what Tennessee Titan fans, feel now about Marcus Mariota, which has been benched. So I'm sure you have some feelings about that. But was there ever the feeling that Mariota was going to turn it on and become that franchise quarterback? And give us an idea of some of the feelings that Titans fans have had towards him and where you are with him now.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a hope at one point during his career, specifically his 2016 season. It really looked like Mariota was about to take the next step as a quarterback, and we had found our guy. The Titans have had quarterback woes ever since Steve McNair was cut and signed with the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care what you guys have to say about Vince Young. Get out of here with that talk. I was never a Vince Young guy. But there was a time when this fan base was very hopeful that Mariota would be the guy. In the last couple of years, though, his play and his health concerns have sort of divided the fan base. Now, I think multiple things can be true about Marcus Mariota, and I think our fan base has a tendency to lead one side or the other. I think it's true that he didn't play well enough to firmly entrench himself as the guy in Tennessee. That said, I also think it's true that this Titans coaching staff has no idea how to adequately use him. And you've seen the turnover at offensive coordinator. He's played in several different offenses. The health concerns are there too, but neither of those things excuse the bottom line that he just hasn't gotten it done. So I think moving on.
Oh, he broke up. He broke up.
Stoney, you might have to drop out and come back in. Your webcam froze on us. But
Okay, so
I do.
Cody, tell us where he was at.
Yeah, he was talking to us about. I asked him about Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota and how they're kind of tied to one another, and that they were both drafted 1 and 2. And after 2016, they thought Marcus Mariota was going to be the man. And then, it seems very similar to Jameis Winston. Marcus Mariota has had a lot of offensive coaching turnover in his time with the Titans. So I understand the frustration.
Dude, I'll tell you exactly what.
Okay. Greg, didn't I think that Jameis Winston both of them threw picks in their opening games on the opening drive, I believe, when they first started last year, and maybe Jameis on the first pass of his career.
I would believe it. Like I definitely wouldn't think it wasn't true. It's funny listening to him, like all the three of y'all talk about this and everything, because I read an article today about the Panthers and the Titans and how they're the exact same teams. One's in the AFC, one's in the NFC. And the way I sit here and hear him describe Titans fans towards Titans and the quarterback, it does sound eerily similar because it's the way it is in Carolina. You have fans on both ends of the spectrum. You either love Cam or you hate him.
Right.
And it's the same kind of thing.
Nobody loves Mariota, though.
Well, I think he's saying there are some people who do. Because
how? What has he done?
Season. Well, the 2016 season, I think they won 12 games. He had like 37 touchdowns and
that was before he got hurt, right? Before he got that major injury. He has never been good since.
And so Stoney is joining us again, but real quickly, this happened and we didn't get a chance to mention it. Shout out to William Robinson for the $10 love bomb in the chat.
Oh, nice.
He says if Ron doesn't make the playoffs, he is gone, but at least we're not the Georgia Pigeons. Keep pounding. So kudos to William Robinson, and thank you so much for the love and support. Stoney, do you hear us?
I hear you guys. Sorry about that. My shit just totally crashed on me.
That's okay, man.
Don't worry. We do a live show. I don't know how you record your podcast, but we do it live, and there's always freaking problems. Like, kudos to live broadcasts throughout the world. They make it look easy. It's so
Don't see how they do it.
Yeah, I can't figure it out. All right, but get back in there. Go ahead, Greg. Segue him in.
Well, Cody, were you done?
Yeah, I mean, I was just getting to the end of it. Well, okay, one last little thing, and it's tied to the question. Are you confident now in Tannehill moving forward? Do you think that he is an adequate enough quarterback to carry the reins and run an offense that can at least, be enough to compete in the AFC South?
And clarify, Cody, do you mean like for the rest of the season or beyond?
I mean, really for the rest of the season. I mean, I don't know if anyone believes that Tannehill is a long-term option. I'd love to know your opinion. I see you shaking your head. But just for the rest of the season, do you have enough faith that Ryan Tannehill can deliver the goods?
I absolutely do, because the things he's doing are helping to mask some of the issues that the offensive line is having. And that's been a huge issue for the Titans this season, starting with Taylor Lewan serving a 4-game suspension to start the season. But he's getting the ball out quicker. He's sensing pressure in the pocket better, not getting sacked as much. And he is throwing the ball better. So I do think this season he gives the Titans a better chance to win. Long term, I don't think he's anything more than a placeholder. But as far as 2019 goes, yeah, I think Tannehill's the guy.
Okay. Well, that actually kind of segues into my questions about Tannehill and Mariota as well. And, I was reading up some articles today on the Titans. And, I'm Greg, by the way. I introduced myself today. What's going on, man?
Yeah, we don't introduce ourselves. We just pepper you with questions, dude. By the way, I'm Tony. You've been talking to Cody. This is Greg.
I got you guys, man. I was watching before you had me on.
Thank
so
you.
I got it down.
You're doing your homework.
Well, my question for you is, I was reading an article today, and I don't know how long it was written. I think it may have been about a week or two ago, where Vrabel was talking about how he's not closing the door to reversing the decision and having Mariota come back and benching Tannehill based on the game plan and what they thought was best for it. Now, what do you think that does for your quarterback's mind and psyche? Do you think it has anything like, is Mariota injured? Are they trying to mask an injury, or does Vrabel just not know who he wants to go with? Because the difference in their numbers, you're looking at talking about 1 touchdown per game passing and about 50 yards average passing per game. Now, Tannehill does have about a 73% completion rate, where Mariota's about a 59, so that's a big difference. When
and
you're only
he's
talking
won.
about yards,
he's won too. He's won.
That's
as
true.
well.
Won this year. But I guess my question is Mariota injured? Like, why would Vrabel come out and say something like that? Because if you're going to have Tannehill the rest of the way, you don't want him looking behind his shoulder. And if you're not going to put Mariota in, don't give him that hope. You know.
And
by the way, you guys worked out Tyler Haneke today, so
that is a very Mike Vrabel thing to say, and I wouldn't read too much into it at all. I don't think Mariota's hurt. If he was hurt, I don't think they would have been.
He's sorry, man. I hate to say it. He's sorry. He's just not good.
I'm at that point. I was a believer at one point, but after seeing that Broncos game, I'm sorry, you're telling me it's 2019 in the NFL and you can't score a single point against anybody? It was kind of crazy. But to get back to the question about Mike Vrabel, this is kind of his version of coach speak in a way. Whenever he was first brought into Tennessee to coach the Titans, the question was, is this going to be a run-heavy offense? Are you going to try and air it out with Marcus Mariota and all this stuff? And his answer was always, we're going to do whatever we have to do to win the game, which to me sounds like we're not going to have an identity, boys.
He's a Bill Belichick. He's from the Bill Belichick tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Well, when it comes to Tannehill, how about this? Is that this is the bizarre thing, is that Mariota was so bad. And I didn't even watch him. I could just watch the box score and tell it was that bad.
Yeah.
Because I was just irritated. Like I said, I've been irritated by the Titans because when I went and believe in them, they always let me down. But the thing with, I went and picked up, I was in a struggle on my fantasy football team. And as soon as Tannehill was named the starter, I went and picked up Corey Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know what? There is a slight spark. I don't think it's a long-term spark. Tannehill, and you asked this, Greg, I think you said, I don't know what you said, but I just thought Tannehill can't be that. Oh, that comment by Vrabel will not shake Tannehill.
No.
Anything that has already happened to Tannehill, if he ain't shook for life, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's playing with house money. That's the way I see it. But here, tell us about this. Why is the offensive line such a problem? You had that weird video. I thought it was slightly weird where Taylor Lewan put on the production and said, I didn't. We had this happen to us. By the way, the same thing happened to us last season with a person that we care a lot about. The Walter Payton Man of the Year, Thomas Davis, also was suspended for 4 games to start the season for a supplement issue. And you always got to wonder, like, what the heck are they saying what they're saying? So he put on that cool production in his little man cave bus or whatever. Lewan poured his heart out. Turns out he poured the entire offensive line out. They've given up, I think, almost 40 sacks on the season. Why is it so bad?
I don't know, man. This is the 6th highest paid offensive line in the NFL. I mean, they made Taylor Lewan. They made Taylor Lewan the richest left tackle in NFL history a season ago. They brought in Roger Saffold to play left guard and paid him an ungodly amount of money. You got Ben Jones and then a former All-Pro right tackle in Jack Conklin. None of them are playing worth a shit right now. You draft Nate Davis with a 3rd-round pick out of Charlotte to play right guard, and it's just not working. I mean, they're fortunate
like Charlotte in our state. That little school, Charlotte?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was curious. Well, so I do work for DraftTech.com. I analyze college players coming into the draft, and I was really high on Nate Davis's potential to play guard. So it's interesting to hear you say that he's been disappointing.
Well, I wouldn't say that he's been disappointing. He's been what you would expect out of a 3rd-round draft pick that you're thrusting into a starting right guard spot. And I think there's still a feeling in Nashville that this guy's going to blossom into a good offensive lineman right now. But when you pair that with all the other issues that are going on along the offensive line, then it sort of exacerbates every guy's individual struggles.
Right.
What's the health issue there on the offensive? Is it just poor play or are guys banged up?
Well, they didn't play Roger Saffold a lot in the preseason, and the thinking was that it's the preseason. He's a vet. He knows the routine by now. They're just resting him for the regular season. But after seeing him in the regular season, I don't know. I mean, you've got Ben Jones going down, missing plays. You've got Taylor Lewan going down, missing plays. This is the game against Tampa Bay, by the way. And it just kind of seems like if something can go wrong with this unit, it is going to go wrong. I mean, I don't know how to read this when guys are laying on the field writhing in pain, and then the next thing you know, they're back on the field after the next play. So it's just a weird dynamic.
Cody, I do have one question for you. I'm going to turn the mic to my co-host, and what really freaks me out about this matchup is that our pass rush has been impressive, right, until this San Francisco game, right? But you could say they're running the ball. You can't rush the passer when he don't have the ball. I get that. But historically, over the past 3 years, when the Carolina Panthers have played bad offensive lines, I want to go back to 2017 with the Saints. They had sucked and sucked and sucked. And I mean, it was the first 2 weeks. We go to game 3, and you're thinking the Panthers' defensive line is going to feast. They get nothing. Right now, we're in a position where you want this team to feast on this offensive line and these struggles. But I have a secret fear that's one of those times where we don't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my fear, and I said this a little while ago, is that the 49ers kind of exposed us a little bit. And I'm specifically worried about Derrick Henry, man. Listen,
let's talk about it.
I'm a Clemson fan. Okay, I'm wearing a Clemson shirt right now. So I'm very familiar with them in Alabama. He won the Heisman over Christian McCaffrey the year that McCaffrey was eligible. So, and one of the things that, and I'm sure Stoney can back me up on this, is that he's not just a bruiser. I mean, he is a running back that they bounce to the outside a lot. He's agile. He has surprisingly fluid hips. I mean, he is a versatile, do-it-all running back. And I'm really worried that, the 49ers have kind of shown how to beat us. Move the offensive line, put an extra blocker back there, and when you have a type of player like Derrick Henry, that's a matchup that frightens me a little bit.
Cody, I am so glad that you said that. I've done so many shows where people are just like, oh, Derrick Henry's big. He's just going to mow through people.
Not at all.
That's not the running back he is at all. But I will say this, with the offensive line struggling, I think the key to this matchup is going to be getting pressure on the Titans. And I think if you can get in the backfield, Derrick Henry has shown that he's not exactly able to get things going when you get to him early. Once he gets, a yard or two. He needs a little
steam. He needs a little steam.
Once he gets a yard or two downfield, then you got problems. If he gets to the second level, he's going to outrun any linebacker in the league, and he's going to mow down any defensive back in the league too. That's when you got problems. But I think this Panthers defensive front does have an opportunity to get into the backfield and get to him before he can get going.
Yeah. But, I just adding on to that, I was looking up Derrick Henry's stats, and, I don't pay that much attention to a lot of Titans games, but they're actually surprisingly lower than I thought they would be. I mean, he's only averaging 3.8 yards per carry. He's going to, if he finishes the season on the same track he is, he's going to have about 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns, which is not
bad. Is the little guy there too still? Is the little guy there?
Deion
From the
Lewis?
Patriots? Yeah, is he still there?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately for Titans fans.
All right, continue, Greg. Sorry.
Well, I would say it surprises me because anytime I see Derrick Henry on TV or I hear about him, I just see great runs and great plays and people, really, really boost him up. But I looked up his stats and they're not bad, but they're definitely not somebody that's going to strike the fear into the heart of me.
True that.
So.
Yeah, and I think if you look back, if I'm not mistaken, before the Tampa Bay game or before the Los Angeles game, Derrick Henry was actually leading the NFL in negative rushes. So there is a whole
no bueno.
Yeah, there is a whole lot of just running into the offensive line and stopping. Like the game against Tampa Bay, in the first half, he has a 34-yard run. But if you take that run away, he was averaging 0.3 yards per carry. That's kind of the running back he is. Similar Titan in history was Chris Johnson. He was the same way.
Yeah.
You know, if he got the opportunity, he would hit the home run, but he wasn't always making those opportunities.
Fun fact is I actually talked to Chris Johnson on the phone on this past Friday or the Friday before, because I live in Greenville, North Carolina. I'm an ECU alum, and he went to East Carolina University, and we were going and playing USF, I think, yeah, USF, not UCF. And he lives in Orlando. He was going to the game, and I go on this radio show every week, and my buddy that I've known my whole life has a daily show, and so we landed Chris Johnson on the interview. And I got to say this, is that a lot of people send us messages saying, really good job, because he's a tough interview.
He's a tough interview, but man, that's one of my favorite Titans of all time, man.
Oh man, he's amazing, man. His feet are so fast. But all right, Greg, go ahead, take your question, and then I got one.
Just one real quick. We talk a lot. I mean, we have a quarterback situation going on in our franchise right now too. Not quite the same as y'all, because y'all pulled y'all's. Ours because of injury. But I talked to a lot of people from C3 Panthers podcast, people I follow online, these guys here on the show with me and everything. But I never get an outsider's view unless it's somebody hating me. You know, like unless it's somebody on Twitter that's bashing it, and then I engage with them, and they engage with something I say. So as somebody who I don't feel like is going to bash me, what do you feel about Cam Newton? Like, if Cam Newton,
good question.
If Cam Newton went on the market, would you be interested? Would you want your team to pick him up?
Well, if we're drafting based on fashion sense, he's number one pick overall. I don't care who you put him up against. But you know, there was actually some talk in Nashville when all of this first started going down in Carolina. Like, oh, should the Titans trade for Cam Newton? Should they try and get him away from Carolina? And I gotta say, man, I would be cool with that. I know his MVP season, everybody's calling him the LeBron James of basketball. And if he could get back to that, man, I think that's an accurate comparison. Just a freak athlete, better quarterback than people give him credit for. I've always been a bit of a fan of his.
Good to hear. Good answer, man. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
You got it.
So, Stoney, I'm going to jump in with my last question for you, and it's a two-parter. So I asked this to all of the guests that we have on the podcast. And my question is, if the Tennessee Titans win this Sunday, if they beat the Carolina Panthers, what do they do and what do they do well in order to come out with the victory? And are you, as a podcaster, a fan of Bussin' with the Boys?
I love bussing with the boys.
How could you not?
I don't know what that says about me that I'm admitting that, but yeah, I love bussing with the boys. I catch most episode every
For those
every
of you who don't know, the left tackle the left tackle Taylor Lewan has a podcast with him and a friend of his. I believe his friend played in the NFL too. But
Will Compton.
Will Compton. Okay, so they have other NFL players come on and just shoot the shit for an hour.
Yeah.
They've had Jalen Ramsey, Quentin Nelson. They've had some.
That
some
sounds
big
great.
And listen, they're just bros. They're drinking beer. They're guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about dick stories that they've told in the locker rooms and shit.
And his stupid bus. And his it's actually cool. That bus is cool as hell. I ain't gonna lie. I call it stupid.
It really is.
But do you remember Jordan Gross had a podcast, This Is Gross? Or something like that.
That was for the Carolina Panthers. It was nowhere near as authentic as what Taylor Lewan's got. It's very much more real and down to earth. But yes, Stoney, to my original question, if the Titans win, what do they do?
I think it is going to be a case where they're going to try and stay committed to Derrick Henry. I think that's the matchup you have on offense. But I love the chemistry that Ryan Tannehill has developed with backup tight end Jonnu Smith, who's had to step up into a starting role because of the injury to Delaney Walker. Now, whether that's because they were both working with the twos all preseason and training camp, is up for debate. But I think they have matchups that they can take advantage of if they do that. But it's going to require protecting Ryan Tannehill, giving him time to get plays off, and stopping the big play on defense. They did well earlier in the season with Austin Eckler, Devontae Freeman, backs that had more receiving yards than rushing yards, but Christian McCaffrey's a different beast altogether. I think this guy should be in the conversation for NFL MVP in 2019 so far, and it's going to be tough. I don't like this matchup for the Titans, and I'm actually not going to predict a win for the Titans this week because the decision-making from the coaching staff, the bland offense, all of these things. And if you'll remember earlier, I said this team could easily be 2-6. I think that's the team that shows up this week.
Wow. How about this? Is kudos to the guests coming in here trying to earn our favor, talking about Cam.
I'm just trying to butter
the
you guys
love
up.
for Cam and his dress.
Yeah.
We're just eating this up, bro. You are just putting it out. We're just eating this up. All right. What do you see building in this team? Where do you see where's the sign? Where's the silver lining?
I think it's definitely the defense, and specifically the young players on defense. We got Big Jeff out there making plays. Jeffrey Simmons, guy would have been a top 5 draft pick if not for the injury. There were some character concerns. He slides to the Titans at 18, and 2 games in, he is making a difference. But then you've also got undrafted free agent Isaiah Mack that's making a difference on defense, making the most of his opportunities. These guys are going to extend Jarrell Casey's career by 2 seasons. This is going to be a good defensive line for the next coming years. Kevin Byard, all-pro safety, is was just signed to a contract extension. Adoree Jackson's promising. You've got the linebacking core, Rashaan Evans, Harold Landry. These guys are going to be the key pieces on this defense for years to come. And quite frankly, I think this defense is the only reason this team has 4 wins so far.
What do you do about the quarterback situation next year? Is this it's hard. It's hard when you don't. Right, and this is the thing: you're coming on the longest running Panthers fan podcast ever, right? Like we just don't stop talking about this team. We're not cool. We're not good at it. We just don't quit. But we have been. I'm a Cam Newton. I'm gay for Cam Newton, right?
There you go, man.
Like it comes like to that. It really does.
Love is love.
Yeah,
love is
exactly.
love.
Love is love. Exactly. So what we get is we get a bunch of people who are unappreciative of Cam. And what I mean by that is you don't want to – what Cam does for us and has done for us for the last 8 years has put us in a world where we know who our quarterback is.
Sure.
We don't want to be in the land of who is our quarterback. We have been in that land. That land is not a fantasy. It's a nightmare. And there's kind of 2 theories to think about it. Is you either are going all in on a cat, like a Mariota or somebody, whoever the next guy is, and you have to give him 3 years. You got to give him 3 years, and you really probably should give him 4. Or you can piecemeal it for a year or 2 until you think you have that moment or something else works out. Are you in the all-in again, or is it a piecemeal moment for the Titans next year? It's a tough question. Sorry. I think it's a tough question.
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. And I don't think this is going to be a very popular take among Titans fans, but I think you're in a unique position where Tannehill's deal is up at the end of the year. And based on what I've seen so far, this dude's worth another year or maybe 2 years. And with the quarterback class coming up, John Robinson has shown a propensity to go get his guy if he wants him. So you find a quarterback in this upcoming class, you go get him and you go all in with the safety net being Tannehill, assuming he continues to play the way he's played so far.
Are there any prospects you think, just quarterback wise? Is there anybody you think you might reach for?
The rumors here are surrounding Jake Fromm because nobody thinks this Titans team is going to be bad enough to get a pick and take Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, one of those guys. Personally, I want to see some more from Joe Burrow. I think Jake Fromm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with this take 100%. And my wife's family is a Georgia fan. We're all Georgia fans. I like Fromm, but I don't know if I see him as fantastic either.
But you know what? If I may jump in, I don't think that you even need to have a fantastic quarterback. I think you just need to have a quarterback that can do really just enough. And like I've said this for years,
I think Burrow might be
Ryan,
more. I'm kind of leaning towards the Burrow.
Matt Ryan is not, in my mind, an elite NFL MVP caliber quarterback like everyone says he is. He's the kind of player that when you put a talented football team around him, hey, that machine can go. And I think the Titans really do have and have had for a while one of the more underrated rosters in the NFL. I think that Tajay Sharp is a name that doesn't get enough credit. I really like the wide receiver you guys drafted in 2017. His name,
Corey Davis.
Corey Davison. I mean, and now AJ Brown. I mean, in my opinion, I had him rated higher than DK Metcalf. So they have playmakers, and Jake Fromm. I mean, he's not special, but that would be a good pick for them.
Yeah, I feel like Jake Fromm has more game manager written all over him than anything else, and I think that if you're in a position where you're drafting 15 to 20 or somewhere like that, I think that's a good get. I don't think it's bad to be a game manager when you look at what the Titans have gone through this season.
All right, we got to get you out of here, but before you go, what questions do you have for us? We're turning the microphone over to you.
Yeah, man, I just want to ask you guys what scares you about the Tennessee Titans, if anything.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so I've kind of already said this. Derrick Henry is without a doubt what frightens me the most. But then, and I kind of just alluded to it, they do have some underrated wide receivers. And kind of like how Kyle Allen has been just enough for the Carolina Panthers to win, I think that Tannehill and this offense, especially if they're able to initiate that run game, that if Tannehill is able to do just enough, that is a team that's perfectly capable of walking into Bank of America and giving us a real fist fight and potentially walking out with a W.
Yeah, and we saw this team play hot and cold a season ago. They lose to a terrible Bills team at home, and then they go and beat the New England Patriots, beat the brakes off of them at home. So this is a team that's capable of doing that. I will point out that this offense, for whatever reason, Art Smith, a rookie offensive coordinator, they didn't throw the ball to the wide receivers much at all against the worst pass defense in the league last week against Tampa Bay. At one point in the game, Titans wide receivers totaled 3 catches for 14 yards. So I would point out Jonnu Smith again, the tight end. Look for the chemistry between him and Tannehill as a threat to make some plays.
So, hey, I know you haven't heard from me yet. I've been dealing with a son who won't go to bed. But this is Cody. I'm up here in Roanoke, Virginia. Actually,
another Cody.
Another Cody. I go by CK on the I go by CK on the podcast. But my biggest fear, to answer your question, would be how inconsistent but unpredictable the Titans are.
That's a great way to put it. What a great way to put it.
You could see the Titans team that will show up in Foxborough and just beat the brakes off the Patriots, or you'll see the ones who show up and just get blown out by any nobody, right? Mm-hmm. And so you just don't know what the Titans are. I mean, like, they're so inconsistent, but they will show up and show out in the most random games. And I'm just afraid that it's going to be against Carolina, that it's going to just be piled on from last week. So my biggest fear is finding out that the Titans that show up are the Titans that we don't want to show up.
Can I ask one question, though, before you answer it? When did the Titans beat the brakes off the Patriots?
2018, middle of the season. It was 34-10, something like that.
Okay. I was about to say, man, when was this? I missed this.
Yeah, and
all right, now continue. Sorry.
No, and they beat the Eagles in overtime early in the season last year too, and I think those two performances sandwiched a dud against the Buffalo Bills, and then they still somehow managed to go into the final game of the season against the Indianapolis Colts with Blaine Gabbert at quarterback, having the chance to get into the playoffs with a win, and they just completely shit the bed. So welcome to being a Titans fan.
All right, so I think my answer to your question about what we're concerned about is, look, our defense has not been able to stop the run. And I haven't pulled up your running statistics, but it doesn't matter. Those names and the paychecks you read me on the offensive line, I wonder when that comes together. Our defensive line has, in some ways, feasted against some teams, and it shows some promise of being an elite pass rushing team. But then the weaknesses in our run game expose some limitations to our defensive line, I think. And to me, it is, if I'm the Panthers, I say this, I do what other people have done to us, and that is we just stop the run. Let's put 10 in the box. I don't care how many you got to put it. But I actually don't see the Panthers do that enough. And maybe criticism to Ron Rivera on this is sometimes I don't see them trying to make a team one-dimensional, but they just try to be kind of good at everything. Mm-hmm. Maybe we just say this. We sell out completely against the run, and we say if Ryan Tannehill beats us, then he beats us.
Yeah, and I think it's a valid concern because this offensive line... At some point,
they got to be good, right? They can't be that bad.
And they started this season an outright disaster. I think it was, I can't remember who it was against, but they allowed 9 sacks on Mariota in a single game. But
Jaguars, was it the Jaguars?
It might have been. It was either the Jaguars or the Colts. I can't remember. But as the season's progressed, and specifically since they made the change at quarterback, the pass protection's a little bit better. You're starting to see them, get some chunk yardage in the run game. And, if that continues to progress, then it could potentially be a problem for that Panthers front.
All right. Anybody else got who's gotten the mic left? Who we got left on the mic to respond to the question?
I was going to answer his question real quick. Mine kind of goes with Tony's. I kind of agree with him. I feel like the way I look at the Panthers, we sell out on one thing, and well, I don't want to say that because it's kind of something you're saying. No, we sell it. Whenever I feel like we have a good matchup with wide receivers and our cornerbacks, we always do really bad. Meaning that is, I don't look at Tajay Sharp and Corey Davis as elite wide receivers, but they're good wide receivers.
Well, how would you know?
DJ Chark.
We don't watch them, dude. How do we know?
Well, not even that, just the quarterbacks.
Well, my thing is, like, most of the time when a team has an elite receiver like a Mike Evans or Julio Jones, we generally Julio's ripped up on a couple times. We generally bog them down and do pretty well. Whenever we have a team that I guess we're not expecting a pass attack from, they tear us up like DJ Chark did a couple of weeks ago. And like I was saying, Tajay Sharp and Corey Davis are very similar to DJ Chark, both in height, speed, length of arms, everything. So that would be my biggest fear, is that we underestimate this passing attack and we get just thrown over the top all night long.
I will say this: the Titans invested a second-round pick in A.J. Brown out of Ole Miss. This guy has had a tendency to just pop up a couple times this season and go for 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. I think he has potential to be that sort of number one receiver in this offense.
I do too. I really do.
And they also signed Adam Humphries in free agency to come in. And
he paid him a lot of money. A lot of money. All right, we got to get Stoney out of here. Before you go, what the heck? Tell us about the name.
The name Stoney?
Yeah,
bro, that is my legal name, man.
It's got to be It's got to be the number one question that everybody asks you is what is the genesis of this name?
So, man, my dad was a pretty out there cat. He was an artist, sign painter, did a lot of weird art paintings on cars and stuff like that. And he had a deal with my mom If I was a boy, he got to name me. If I was a girl, she got to name me. And they met because of my Uncle Tony. So my dad with this
Hey,
crazy
my name's
brain,
Tony.
my dad with this crazy brain is like, I want to name him after Uncle Tony, but I don't want to name him Tony. So how about Stoney? There we go.
Oh,
and
gosh,
that's
what a
why
hippie.
That's what I'm.
I'm into it. I like
All right,
it.
so here, great story though, super quick because you'll appreciate it. When I was in graduate school, this young girl, she was an undergraduate. She was brilliant. She was an English tutor, and she would hang out in the lab that I worked at. And I would get her help, and I was in grad school, and I would get her help. Her name was Rainy Break. That was her name, Rainy Break.
How about that? Yeah.
All right. So one day she was applying. We heard her call. She was on the line with Emory, which is a very fantastic school in Georgia, and she is applying to get in their PhD program. And you know when you can hear one side of a conversation and you don't exactly know what the other person says, but you get exactly what they're saying? So she was talking to them, and she said this. She said, rainy summer break. And she said, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So her name was Rainy Summer Break. And then she told us her brother's name, which was just as hipped out. And this one guy, and he was a preacher's son. He was so conservative too. And he had the best joke in the whole world. He said, well, you know your parents have been chained to a tree at some point in their life. Rainy summer break in the history lab at East Carolina. I love you. Thank you for helping me in graduate school. Stoney, tell them how they can listen to your podcast through the Overtime Network.
Yeah, sure thing. Shout out Vivid Seats, MyBookie.ag. I know about those reads, brother.
Come on, re-up.
Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter at Stoney Keely. Follow the podcast at Sobros Titans. I've got everything posted there. I'm the editor-in-chief at SobrosNetwork.com. I cover the Tennessee Titans, the NFL, college football, a whole myriad of nonsense. If you go look at the site, you're going to be like, what the hell is this place? So follow us at Sobros Network and check out SobrosNetwork.com.
Thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Please feel free. You're always welcome on the show. Thank you and good night, guys. We actually need to move on to the calls. We still have like 20 calls to go. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it up, Cody. Let's slam these calls.
Go ahead.
Hey guys,
Go.
But like I was saying, when you see all these teams that are just playing great football right now, I don't know how you see a situation where we bring Cam back. Cam's not going to be 100% in the next 2-3 weeks. I just don't see how. And then you got all these other good teams that are going to be in the wild card. If we somehow make the wild card, how far are we really going to go? So you get in the playoffs, you lose in the first round. Now you're stuck with a 20-something draft pick. And really, what was it for? You made the playoffs, but you didn't go nowhere. Like I said, you're not going to compete for the Super Bowl every year. So sometimes you're going to have a bad season, and that's where you get that good draft pick to build on. I never want to tank a season because I really don't have another reason to watch football other than me just liking to watch football. But if we bring Cam back early again, we're doing the same thing we've done to him his whole career. And to say if we don't make a deep run this year that Cam's not there next year, that's not fair to Cam Newton. He's been hurt. How is that Cam Newton's fault? If Cam comes back 100% this season, then great. But if we're not in a position to where we actually think we're going to compete for a Super Bowl, why not just sit him and make sure that he's 100% for next season? Because I guarantee you, if Cam comes back 100%, he's going to ball out. And with the pieces we have on this team, we will be a damn good football team, one of the best in the NFL. That's just the thought train I was having when I said tank.
I think that's an interesting question because, and I think actually I wanted to move on just because we've got so many calls, but this was kind of the reason, guys, that I led to that question: is what does Ron Rivera really need to do? Like, is the team ready to be what we needed to be to risk Cam, or do we try to? It's a very complicated question. Let's go on to the next call while you guys think about that. I think. Hello?
Yeah,
I'm
here. Yeah,
Look,
sorry.
it's an empty call. It's 2 minutes and 44 seconds and nothing.
Well,
What's up, C3 fam? Chef Jeff here.
Oh, you want to say
Chef
something,
Jeff.
Kev? You want to get up in there?
I was just going to real quickly say that, he said that it's hard to be a contender every year, and you have to have the perfect blend of talented roster and good enough coaching. And for a while, we felt Ron Rivera was good enough. I think now we're feeling kind of different. But real quick, just yes or no, did you want Cam Newton to come back this season? Mine's a simple answer, yes. I've seen too much film. Kyle Allen doesn't read the field very well. I mean, listen.
But is that question really about do you want him back over Kyle Allen? I think the question is slightly complicated by do you want Cam Newton back and we go not a 10-6 and miss the playoffs, or 9-8? I think you have to. I think you gotta not.
Right.
Every year is an opportunity. You can't give up on it yet.
Yeah, it's too early.
You're flirting with intentionally tanking if you talk about not bringing him back just to get a better draft pick.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Next call.
Is to ruminate over our embarrassing loss to San Francisco Sunday.
Cover it,
listen
Cody.
to a couple of Ron Rivera interviews, listen to the radio, stuff like that. Kyle Allen's going to start, which I'm fine with. Cam Newton's not 100%. He doesn't need to start. I'm fine with that. But after watching the game, another offensive snaps, a whole set of offensive snaps, and then the defensive snaps I watched twice. That game, I said earlier that it was maybe 70% coaching, 30% players. I'm leaning more towards 90% coaching and 10% players. I know we don't know what they're saying on the field, how they feel, but to me, body language is everything. And on every single big gash play, especially the run plays and the swing passes, San Francisco only ran like 7 or 8 different plays that just gashed us every single time. Every single time they ran them. And all I see is the leaders of our defense throwing up their hands and looking to the sidelines. Luke Keely looked the most confused I've ever seen him. Every play, he was in the wrong position. Now, you can't tell me that just magically he just had a bad game and the worst game of his career. No. He was in the wrong position because the play calling put him in the wrong position.
Yeah.
Almost every single time. Ron Rivera even half admitted to that. But, that's just what I think. I'll be listening tonight. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Thanks for Chef Jeff. Greg, if you had something you wanted to say, jump in, man.
Yeah, just real quick, because I'm hearing some people talking about this in the chat, and it's about the 4th or 5th time we've had somebody talk about Cam Newton. If he's not 100%, don't bring him back. Let's think about this, folks. It's week 8 of the season. Nobody is 100%. Nobody who's playing football right now is 100%. Everybody's nicked up. Everybody has some kind of injury. Even if it's not something that's going to stop them from playing, they've got some kind of soreness to them, okay? So nobody's 100%. The question is not 100%. It's whether you're able to play without further injuring yourself, okay? And there's a difference in the two. I mean, look at Drew Brees last week. He's not 100%. Every time he sat down on the sideline, he grabbed for his thumb and was massaging his thumb, but he was well enough to play. Okay, so that's the difference. It's not a matter
I don't know. He looked pretty good.
The asterisk on that is... Go back and look at him on the sideline. He was not 100%, man. He was hurting.
Well, I broke my finger when I was 18, and it still hurts.
I mean, your hand will never be 100% again, but you'll throw a football again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can throw it without breaking your hand. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Sorry. All right.
So listen, I just want. Yeah, CK, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say one quick thing. I think one asterisk to the thing of, making sure they come back to where they won't hurt themselves, but also making sure if they come back, they can contribute to winning.
Yeah.
Just back because they're healthy, and that's one of the things I think is where the question really lies. And so I think, we can clearly know that Cam Newton helps us win. So we've just got to be able to understand that him being 100% isn't necessarily the question. It's him being able to come back and be the Cam Newton we know he is.
I think the real question is this, and it's a hard question because nobody really ever wants to give up. You don't ever want to quit, right? But the idea is this: at what point do you realize that it's not the year? I'm not saying we've realized that yet, but a lot of people were talking shit about saying, hey, Christian McCaffrey was in that game and we're down 4 scores. It's over. It
depends on Green Bay.
Yeah. And I feel like we have missed opportunities to seize this year. We could have seized the Rams game. We could have seized the Tampa game. I think last year, and I think I'm still salty.
The Ron Rivera era will be dubbed the years of missed opportunities.
Yeah. I think I'm salty. Cody, I think I'm salty from Pittsburgh last year. Yeah, and the saltiness is that this is like right when I'm ready to pull my thing out and throw it on the table and be like, ha, mugs.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's on coaching. And I did want to pinpoint something that Jeff said about Luke Kuechly having a bad game. This also goes to Kyle Shanahan, because one of the things that heard online is that Kyle Shanahan, he wanted to get Luke Kuechly guessing as to what he was going to do. So they were doing silent motions and hand counts. So instead of Jimmy Garoppolo calling out shit at the line of scrimmage, they were doing subtle things to cause Luke Kuechly to not know where the play was going.
Like the caller said, chess, not checkers.
Yeah, right. And Shanahan is playing checkers on a different level than our coaches are, and that's what worries me. A lot of other coaches that we're going to have to play are playing at that level as well.
I want to remind everybody that you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. We're here every Tuesday night. We're also here after the games. It's the longest running Panthers podcast. You can be a part of the show at 252-228-5098. Over 50 people watching now live. Look at that. People giving us our time. Why don't you give us one more effort? Smash the thumbs up button. Help the Carolina Panthers and Panther Nation grow as a fan base. Guys, we got to keep pushing on through with these calls. Oh, don't forget, we sell T-shirts too. Do you sell Stand With Cam? Actually, we don't make any money off of it. I got like 8 left. Why don't you buy one? You can find the links in the show notes. Next call.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the Black Cat, Brandon Herbert. And
Brandon Herbert.
I want to reiterate. I've had some time to think about it. And how wrong most of y'all are on the podcast. I am in
That's a great call.
a trillion% in Cody's corner when he talks about the coaching staff. This coaching staff needs to go.
How you can't say? Wait. I'm pausing the call. You can't
No,
say y'all are wrong. You can't say y'all are wrong and then say the other half are right.
Yeah, he said I'm right, and he said basically CK was right too.
I thought he was about to give us. I thought he was about to say that y'all were all fucked up with James Bradbury and he sucks a big fatty. But all right, here we go. Come on, play. Why aren't you playing?
What's going on, guys? How wrong most of y'all are on the podcast. I am in 1,000,000,000,000,000% in Cody's corner when he talks about the coaching staff. This coaching staff needs to go, and to not realize the importance of coaching. Yes, the players have to execute, but at the same time, it's your job as a coach to teach the technique, teach the execution. If that's the case, if anybody can, that means anybody could be a coach, because obviously people talk about how talented coaches are. It's because they scheme ways to sometimes to play to the strengths, not the weaknesses of your team. So that means nobody would be talking about a Sean McVay. Nobody wouldn't be talking about Bill Belichick that does it with least amount of talent each year. Like, coaching is very important, and it's disappointing that y'all can't realize that. Yes, I guarantee you, if you put a
Brandon
great
Herbert's
coach
so
out there,
definitive. He's always so definitive.
it doesn't matter the talent level that they have.
Yeah.
Because that's how important coaching is. Coaching is everything, especially to the NFL, which I think the NFL, well, football in general, coaching plays more of a factor than any other sport.
I need to pause the calls. I'm pausing the call for a second because when we look at half of the behind-the-scenes shows, when it comes to any of them, like from the Last Chance U to all the way up, these coaches, 90%, at least what they're showing, unless they're just hiding something, half the time are just speaking in fucking platitudes.
Right.
Where they're just like, go ahead, make sure, don't forget, you got to cover. Yeah, I mean, it is a little, I understand that professionals make a difference when you are the elite at your position, your job. But look at how many jackass coaches there are that aren't. But, all right, keep going.
Because it's literally like a chess piece, a chess matchup.
Another thing, one other thing stopping this is y'all motherfuckers, if y'all don't play chess, stop using the chess reference. Stop using the chess.
Tony Dunn.
That's why you see somebody take the same amount of talent and that they went 1-15 and turned it around because that it takes talent to be a coach.
We did not change the 53-man
and for having a great coaching staff.
It does take talent to be a coach.
Yes, that's why people like Cody and myself
also takes a big giant D to be a porn
because
star.
this team is really talented, but you put out a product like that.
I think that's reasonable.
Unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
And especially because you are a defensive coordinator at heart. That's what you're supposed to be good at. If the offense is just bad, still need to fix it, but that's one thing.
All right. So some points there I think are relevant, but I think overlooks a couple of things. I think one makes everything so more dramatic than it truly is. Mm-hmm. Two is that if you go back and look at the 1,200 people that watched our post game, it seems like San Francisco Nation is big time because them mugs come out in the comments sections like that. All those views were not Carolina Panther fans. That's the thing. I promise you that. But one guy said this. He said, y'all talking about the coaching and the coaching, but we just punched you in the effing mouth.
Exactly.
And he said, look at this. He said, and remember this, their defense was talking shit to our players on the field. Remember at the end of the game when Jarvis Wright didn't catch that ball? And boy, that guy was like, you scared as a mug. Like they just I think to a certain degree, just manned us in that game. And while I understand that you think that's coaching, I don't think Ron Rivera makes Julius Peppers, which I know he's not on the team right now, his any bigger than it already was.
No, but see, here's the deal, man. And this is something that one of the guys, that a San Francisco fan commented on the video after the game, or after the live stream ended, that he was saying absolutely the 49ers have better personnel than we do. Listen, that's bullshit. The 49ers are not – no, it is bullshit. The 49ers are not a more talented football team from the top to the bottom than we are. They use better game planning.
They're not a less talented team. They're not a less talented team.
No, okay, but we were not 13-51 difference in talented. That's my point. Kyle Shanahan,
but there's you're not giving enough culpability to players.
Able to do a lot more with the same amount of talent. And that's what I'm saying. If Shanahan had our football team,
here we go.
If he
again.
was the coach of our football team, he would have been able to do the exact same shit with the Panthers to San Francisco. I promise.
I cannot believe that. All right.
I don't know why y'all were trying to.
I just
to
think
deny
you're
this.
overrating Shanahan's role in it. But go ahead, Greg.
Okay, look. Here's the thing. I want to make myself real clear about this. I am not saying that it has nothing to do with coaching. That the way the game turns out. I'm not saying that at all. It does have to do with coaching and the way the players play. But Cody, you even said just a moment ago that Kyle Shanahan said that he was going to scheme to confuse Luke Kuechly, not to confuse Ron Rivera, not to confuse Norv Turner, to confuse Luke Kuechly. And I've seen Luke Kuechly more times than not on a play, call an audible, put people in positions, change everything up when he sees what's going on there, okay? So you cannot say it's all
Yes,
coaching.
I can, because that's even more to my point. He
No, it's
knows
not.
it does. Yes, it does. He knows he doesn't have to outsmart Ron Rivera. He has to outsmart Luke. And that's the problem.
Well, isn't that what you said about Peyton Manning? Didn't you say the same thing about Peyton Manning back in the day?
Listen, here's the deal. And I alluded to this last Sunday. Who we thought the Panthers were going into this game, either we were 100% wrong or we have to figure out what the fuck we watched.
Did you ever think we might just have a bad day?
Let me
We can have a bad day.
And
well,
that's on the
I
coach.
will not take that as a real excuse. That one irritates me. Is that no, you can't have a bad day when there's only 16 days.
But you can't.
Sorry,
You don't
you
want
can't.
to, but you
Ask
can.
college, but yeah, all right. Well, yeah, you can. But the other thing I think, though, and this is why I'm slightly irritated by the coaches and the chess matchup, like this analogy, is I think at the end of the day, this is kind of like if you are like trying to lay the wood on a the thing, you're trying to do the thing, right? Is that you might have the best technique. You might get your tongue action and this and that, and you do all this, and all this. You put the candles out, you do all this, put the pedals out, do all this.
The Panthers still have a big dick, Tony Dunn. Ron Rivera doesn't know how to use it.
All right, no, see,
Ron Rivera doesn't know how to use it.
I think, yeah. All right, well, you just stole it. See, this is
know,
why everybody loves Cody. This is why everybody loves Cody. God, but that's what I think. At some point, you can't have at some point, you just got a little dick.
The Panthers don't have a little dick.
All
Ron
right.
Rivera.
We
has a
do
small
without
intellect.
Cam. Without Cam, we got one that needs a little ED medicine. Blue
and I can
chews.
say
It
it
needs
too,
the
Cody.
blue chews.
It is not an equal matchup.
Cam is our blue
defense
chew.
Their defense is far superior to ours.
And we had more sacks going into the football game than they did.
Sacks
so
is not the only
what does
stat.
that even talk
Cody
about?
just
And we
fucking
had more
bogs
pressures. And we had more pressures. I'm telling you, if y'all want to chalk it up to San Francisco had a better team than us.
No, we don't think that. No, we don't think that.
That is what you're saying.
No, but Bruce Irvin. How about this?
And they
Bruce
beat our
Irvin.
ass.
Bruce Irvin came out after this game and said that they weren't a better team than us. So he said what you're saying.
That's right.
But can a player really say that after you get a mollywomping like that?
Right.
Listen,
They are a better team. They're 7-0, dude.
Right.
They're
Their defensive
7-0.
stats are
At
better
some
than ours.
point, yes, Garoppolo sucks.
Because
Fine,
their
Garoppolo
coaches
sucks.
are better.
No, because they play
Okay,
shitty.
you're right, Cody, because the coaches are better, but the players
shit
are better
ourselves. We can't.
No, they're not.
All right, we
too.
came too fast.
Do we have a Bosa on our team?
Do they have?
We
don't have a Bosa.
Brian
No, but he's not
Burns.
Bosa. He's not top five. He wasn't top five.
He's
not
not.
the same. It's not the same. You know,
It's
it's not
a-
the same.
All right.
Do they have a Luke Kuechly?
Was Michael Strahan drafted top 5? How about DeMarcus Lawrence? What are we doing? Because now you're saying that because their roster was better than ours, That's why they
Dude,
beat
you
us.
were all on
Or the
Moses. You
do the
know
Packers
what?
have a better
Forever.
roster?
Shush. All right, let's go to the next call. Let's go to the next call.
Oh, we're
I'm
gonna keep this
telling you,
going
man.
a little while.
What's up, Panther Nation? Y'all know what this is.
This is G.
G Cavassier.
Cavassier.
Hey, man, I'm getting that, San Francisco ass whipping that we got on Sunday in the past or whatever. I was really hoping we was going to pick up that left tackle from the Redskins, man. I was really hoping on that, but here it is, 8:30 at night, and I don't see anything, so, oh well. Now back to the damn Panthers, man. I'm not worried. This is one damn game. Everyone is calling for, the quarterback's head. It's one damn game. I could see if this motherfucker lost 5 games in a row, man. You know what I'm saying? That's something damn different. Jimmy Clausen, you know what I'm saying? But I know y'all remember that asshole. But anyway, yeah, he threw 3 picks, you know what I'm saying? Got his little cherry popped and everything like that. It is okay. We will be fine, man. We still got, 9 games left or whatever? We'll be fine. We're going to bounce back and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about Tennessee, even though Tennessee has a good defense that people do not talk about. Their defense is pretty good. I still see us 1-2 with them. I still see us beating Green Bay, too. Cody, why in the hell, I read your text, why in the hell they switched that shit to 4 o'clock, man? Oh, another primetime game.
I know, man.
It's because Cam's coming back, man. That's why. Because
So
Cam's coming back.
And always remember,
Boom.
keep
It's Greg's
pounding.
TV show. It's Greg's TV show. How about this? Is Ashlyn Rizzo, and I can't see your portrait picture, but it looks like you're in a wedding dress, so I assume you're just the most beautiful. You're just beautiful as can be. Giving beautiful knowledge in the chat room, really educating us. She said this: as a female, it's not about size. It's not about how you use it. It's neither. She's saying when you compare it to someone else's, that's a whole different ball game. Don't think you're the only one that has a member.
You read the next comment yet too. It's a good one.
And then, she goes on, it's not a self-evaluation. You can't compare yourself to another. And when you do that, you have to compare apples to apples. And with that, we didn't match up.
Boom.
I know. I don't even know where to go with that other than having a big D. I don't even know where to go with it. But thank you, Ashlyn, for supporting the podcast and these barbarians who are trying to figure out how Cam Newton can dress like that and still be so dang wonderful. Next call.
Hey guys.
Oh, actually, no. Before the next
Math.
call, wasn't all of that about the fact that that Cam Newton, we're flexing it? Cam Newton's not playing this week.
No, he's not playing this week. And but guys, and listen, it goes back to what I'm saying. I'm not, we're not just overreacting and calling Ron Rivera a bad coach because of this beatdown. Like we're not overreacting off of one football game here. Now, okay, all right. So we're going to play. We're going to play the Green Bay Packers in prime time. Okay, and everyone's going to watch us. And again, we're at home. They're a top 5 team in football right now. How many of you are confident enough in this team and this coaching staff that we're going to go in there and we're going to win that game? How confident are you that that's going to happen?
When you say team and coaching staff, are you talking about were you talking about
the Carolina
players and coaching
Panthers
staff?
versus the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field? How confident are you?
At this point, not very confident.
Not very confident at all. But
right. But it's not just because of coaching that I'm not confident. We also don't line up with some of the talent they have.
I've been climbing the hill, but Cody has been courting us to this stupid hill. He's been courting us the whole time. I mean, it's true.
And there's still room. I don't know what's taking out so long, man. Come
Here's
on.
Next call.
What's going on?
What do I have to do?
That's Herbert. Let me see. Is this it? Is this Josh?
It's Josh and Matt.
Hey, first time call. This is Charles calling
No.
from 252. I watched the game and
no, we missed.
I'll go back.
Ron and our coaching staff let me down big time.
Yeah, they did.
Because they made no adjustments from the first half to the second half. They didn't do anything how am I going to say this? He didn't do anything to make any kind of adjustment to make it easier for Kyle. He didn't do anything on the defense. So I think it's time for him to go. I don't know what y'all thinking, him and Noah. I think it's time for them to go. I'm interested to hear what y'all got to say. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Cody's got your back, brother. Let's see. Let's go to Josh.
Hey,
This is
Chuck
not
here,
Josh.
Panthers fan.
Where is Josh at? Where did you go? Nope, not that one.
What's going on,
This
guys?
is Brandon.
It's your boy, the Black.
You just had it.
Panther Nation, y'all know what this is.
It's
Here it
after
is.
G.
Yeah, this is it.
Hey,
No.
this is Chuck here,
Okay, we listened to that
Panthers
one.
fan.
Here it is.
Hey, first time call. This is Charles calling from 252.
Where is Josh?
You were
Watch the
just
game,
starting,
man.
weren't you?
No.
Yo, Ron in that court.
Hey, my name's Frank. I'm actually a.
I don't know where Josh is at. Y'all take care. Y'all
Josh
talk
is
for a
about-
second.
Josh
I will
is
find
about to
it.
be
I will
pissed
find it.
if
Y'all
you do
talk.
not play that
I
man's
will.
call.
I will fix it. Y'all talk.
He
for a
is
second.
going
I
to
will
drive
fix it.
from Massachusetts and shave the mustache off your face.
That he hates.
If you do not play that man's.
Where is he? Where did he go? Go ahead, y'all talk. I got it. I'm listening.
Listen, Ken Dye, but before you jump off, Ken Dye said there's too much negativity. And I kind of agree with him. But if anything, what I say is I'm being positive. Because I still believe the Carolina Panthers have one of the best rosters in football. Bar none, dude. Bar none. And I'm saying that when Cam Newton comes back, that this is a football team that can still be a contender. But it's going to be incumbent upon our players being a bunch of big dick badasses and getting the job done. And I have confidence that our players can do that. I believe that they can overcome our coaching staff. I have to. That's how I have to be optimistic.
So Cody, with that, Cam Newton comes back and the defense is coached better because Cam Newton comes back. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
and honestly, here's my question. Here's my thing. Here's what I'm focused on, and this is where I think that people are kind of getting off on the wrong track. And I might sound a little heated on this, but when you think about this, if our offense, if Cam Newton comes back, right, if he were in that game, like I mentioned earlier in the show, if he converts half of those fourth down conversions, well, guess what? This is now, instead of a 51-13 beatdown, hey, maybe it's a 21-40, right? Maybe it's a 28-35. There are so many things you got to think about when you think about our defense. Yeah, early on they were getting gashed, right? They were getting destroyed. But when you're on the field, I have to check the time of possession, but I'm telling you, like, our defense was exhausted by the end of that. Our offense.
Is there
barely
also
sustained a
anything to
drive.
Shaq and the thing that happened with his mother? You know, poor guy. I mean, like, think about that too.
I don't think it's as much as that. And this is why I'm not putting as much of this loss on North Turner. It's hard on your defense when your quarterback is terrible on third. By the way, the Panthers were 2 of 14 on third down. Okay,
We've
Kyle
been
Allen
terrible.
was not reading the field. Kyle Allen was throwing the football right to them. Our defense was already tired. And then, on top of that, then you have to run back on the field after their offense just ran you down. So, yeah, the defense is going to play better when a healthy Cam Newton is back on the field. Absolutely.
Back to CK.
But all I was saying is that I think that, you know, to judge the defense based on that one game, yeah, we haven't been great against the run. But, you know, it happens like that all the time throughout the games. The reason our run defenses look so suspect is we've allowed at least one big play out of every running back that's ran for over 100 yards against us. You take
More
away
than
that one big play.
You're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised about the time of possession numbers. Panthers had the ball for 26-59. 49ers 33. I thought it would be more. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. It felt like longer, but I think CK's onto it with this. Is that part of the problem? Is our defense also was big in giving up those gashers, and even Ron Rivera talked about that in his press conference. All right, I think I got Josh from Mass's call.
Nope.
Did you really say no?
I don't hear anything. Do y'all?
You don't hear anything? Oh,
I
that's
don't hear
right.
nothing. Are you
Oh,
quiet?
that's right. Because I forgot. I turned it off because I've
Tone
been
it
listening.
down.
I've
What
been
are we
listening to
doing
I
here,
know.
man?
You're fucking up. Here it is. Nope.
Still don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything.
No, I don't hear nothing either.
Marinate in the
Oh,
Right
okay.
there.
the aftermath of Sunday's disaster, and
This
What
is
a
Josh?
shit show.
You know,
Yeah, what a shit
I
show.
mean,
Here, I'll start it over. A fucking again.
Mass. I think we've all
Yes,
had a
he
few
said
days
Josh
to
from Mass to
marinate
fill
in
y'all in.
The aftermath of Sunday's disaster, and
In this show, disaster.
you know, I mean, it's hard to not take this one real bad because you look at how tight and competitive the NFC is this year, and
He feels tired. Doesn't he sound tired?
yeah,
Like fatigued.
that's really what makes this
sounds bludgeoned.
so troubling to see. Now, granted, I don't think there's too much in our future as far as the schedule that could result in another truly abominable outcome such as that. But, you know, I feel like it just puts a whole lot of pressure on the team to not necessarily right the wrongs, but just to try to put together a season where really just get it out there. We can't lose any more games this year.
I agree.
You know, realistically, you hope your team doesn't lose any games every year, but we all know that's just not the nature of the beast usually. You know, you like to have a little breathing room, and you know, being 5-2 at the halfway instead of being 4-3 gives you a little breathing room. You know, the team that loses 2, maybe 3 games can probably still win a division, can probably not have to be a wild card team. But, you know, given this year, you know, you look at the teams who are presently on the outside looking in, if the playoffs started today, you know, you got teams like the Seahawks, the Rams, and, you know, Vikings and Green Bay. I believe their records are pretty close back and forth. And I think what it does is it puts a lot of pressure on us to win specific games. I mean, obviously we need to beat the Saints both times. We need to. There is no maybe possibly kind of, we have to beat Green Bay. We have to beat Seattle. So it's just, that game itself was one problem, but I feel like it just puts a whole lot of pressure on the team going forward this year, and curious to see if they can make it happen. Keep pounding.
Right to the end of the call. Wonderful. Thank you for the call, Josh. Sorry it took so long to get you on, and I think Cody has highlighted this in the past, is that we strangely do control our destiny in having to play the Saints and having to play the Seahawks and having to play a lot of these teams.
Packers,
but it
yeah.
does feel like at this point it's hard. It's going to be hard to catch up. Thank you, Greg, for pointing out there's only 2 games behind the Saints. We really need to bludgeon them. We also could use one team in the NFL to beat their ass.
Hey, first time call. This is Charles calling from 252.
What's
Watch
up,
the
Charles?
game and
What's up, Charles? Thanks for calling.
Ron and our coaching staff let me down big time
Yeah.
because
Listen to
they
what
made
all
no
these
adjustments
callers are
from
saying.
the first half to the second half. They didn't do anything to be, how am I going to say this? He didn't do anything, make any kind of adjustment to make it easier for Kyle. He didn't do anything on the defense.
No adjustments.
I think it's time for him to go. I don't know what y'all thinking, him and Noah. I think it's time for them to go. I'm interested to hear what y'all got to say.
It's harder. It's harder and harder to defend against Cody's position on this. That's what I would say each and every week. And I think this week was sort of a definitive smack. Like if you think of this as like you're hammering the nail in the coffin, This was a good, solid strike to the nail.
Yeah.
One statement I'll make on that, and Greg, I want to address the comment you made, which is we always give credit to Olsen, McCaffrey, and everything when we have a good game. I think we give pretty good credit to Ron, the 4-game winning streak, because we were saying that defense stepped up. Ron's doing a great job playing, doing play calling at the helm of the defense. Yeah. I know for a fact that I did a lot of credibility was given to him because of the fact that he was able to win those games that weren't exactly blowouts in a manner that was, almost just allowing us to believe that he could coach this team beyond the regular season again.
Okay.
And then this game happens, and now all of a sudden those fears of what happened last year and the fact that he let Cam, clearly if Cam couldn't jog around the field, he couldn't jog in practice either, right? So you got to know Ron Rivera saw those things. So now all of these things are starting to come back up because we're realizing, hey, maybe Ron has been making really bad decisions for this team, not only late last year, but early this year. And now all of a sudden we have a reminder of what happened after the Steelers game because of this game against the 49ers. I think when you add all of that stuff up to defend and say that, we all agree that there is some that falls on coaching, but I think there is so much more that people don't realize that falls on coaching with this game than is actually, everybody's using execution for the players. The point that I made on Sunday, 53 men don't just not show up.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. There is going to be a trickle down effect when whether or not they deserve it or not. When our unemployment rate goes down, we praise the president, or when it goes up, all of a sudden the president's doing the worst job. Now, is he out there giving people jobs? No, but we know that it kind of comes from the top down, and so to not blame him for a loss like this is a big deal. And I think that's where we need to start really looking in. And clearly the reason, I'm not saying Ron by himself, but I think that they weren't doing enough.
What?
Everybody is happy. Everybody's impressed. Way to go, CK.
Well, no, you raised very good points, CK. And I can't really argue that. My biggest thing is I just don't want everybody saying everything. The whole reason we lost is because of coaching. Because it wasn't.
I don't think anybody would agree with that. Yeah, I think everybody knows that.
A bigger part.
I think what gives you guys, I think what gives CK and Cody's arguments some of the most credence in my mind is that I just find it harder and harder. I actually thought that the San Francisco game is sort of a statement game, not a statement game about our season, but a Ron Rivera statement game. When is the time we get the Ron Rivera statement game? You think about this: is we need this. We need the 49ers to beat a team that matters. We said the same thing about the Panthers in 2015. We need Cam to show you he can be a quarterback that is the quarterback you want him to be. We need this moment where we see you are helping get us to where we need to be. And every time I think it's the time for Ron Rivera, we miss it. It's a missed opportunity. This was a missed opportunity, and that's where it's harder and harder to defend. And this San Francisco 49ers game should not feel as important as it feels to me. That's where I know this is funky. There's something weird about this because we just won, 4 in a row, whatever we won with Cam, with Kyle Allen, we should be over the moon. We played a tough team, and we got beat. But no, we didn't get beat. We got smoked. And on top of that, now we're questioning our damn existence. That's where it's problematic for me. Next call.
Hey, my name's Frank. I'm actually a member of the Bills Mafia. Big fan of Sean McDermott, coming from Carolina. Our defense has been pretty good.
Thanks for calling, brother.
So it looks like they're building their team kind of the same way Carolina was their Super Bowl year. Pretty solid defense, strong arm quarterback that can be mobile. My question for you guys, as far as Cam Newton, there's speculation whether he's going to start or whether he's going to leave next season. I don't really care about that, but let's say he does leave. He spent 8 seasons as a starter at that point, 4 playoff appearances, one Super Bowl appearance. I think he is 3-4 in the playoffs. Beat some pretty good teams, lost a couple games. Maybe they could have won. What's your overall opinion on the Panthers versus their competition during the years that he's been your starting quarterback and under Ron Rivera? Anyway, I'm watching the podcast. Go Bills, and hey man, I root for the Panthers as my NFC team, and I'm actually a buddy of Cody's, so he showed me the podcast. I love it, so keep it up.
Well, thank you so much for the support. Whichever Cody showed him the podcast, take the question first.
Yes, you can jump in, man.
Yeah, man. So when we talk about Cam Newton, as far as, when you think about his legacy, I think that's part of the question is, do we feel like when you stack his legacy against somebody of maybe a higher caliber, like a Breeze or a Brady or something like, do we feel like Cam, if his career ended today, do we feel like he deserves to be recognized as one of the greatest in the history of the NFL, right? And I think that numbers and stats kind of lead credence to that. I think there's a lot that makes me believe that is the case. Whether or not I'm torn on a lot of the subject matter here, so I'm going to let somebody else continue. But I think that Cam Newton,
Cody, you're next. One Cody to the other Cody.
Yeah, I think Cam Newton will always be the greatest player, at least until another Cam Newton comes along, at least in the Panthers' history. And so I have a hard time betting against that guy.
I believe that Cam Newton has had to elevate a football team of average to below average offensive talent for a lot of years here in Carolina, on an offense that was predicated on throwing the football down the field to big-bodied wide receivers that don't separate well. And it's just unfortunate because now when we finally have made an effort to put pieces around him in the form of McCaffrey and DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, now the health issues have started to pop up and arise. So it's like we've never gotten to see this version of Cam Newton that is as accurate as any other elite quarterback in the NFL, that can be the pocket passing quarterback that he has always been, the quarterback that can dissect the defense. That is who Cam Newton is. But unless you watch this show with dedicated Panther fans, you'll never know that because all these other analysts on ESPN and Fox News, they don't see it the way that we see it with Cam Newton. So Cam Newton is still the unquestioned heart and soul of our football team, and Panther fans will rue the day that Cam Newton is no longer in the Carolina Panther uniform. Let's hope that is not for a while.
You know, when I think about this, Cody, what I come back and I just follow in those footsteps of what you're talking about, but I have like some secret terror, like some secret night terrors. And like one of those is Cam Newton not being a Panther, right? I was just scared of that day. But then the dream gets worse. And it's Cam Newton goes to another team and does well, right? And then the nightmare of all nightmares is that Cam Newton goes to another team and prospers. Like in a way that we wish he could with us. All of those dreams, what I come back to and say this to the caller, you're a Buffalo Bills fan, is we've got 4 players in the history of our team that have been, I think, special. And I don't think you can count Kevin Green because he wasn't really a Panther. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't all happen here. But I think those 4 players are Julius Peppers, Cam Newton, Steve Smith, and Luke Kuechly. They're special, special players of all time. And so when it comes to Cam Newton, is that our biggest fear is that we've done him wrong. He's fantastic. We want him to be more. If he was done now, he would still been sensational. But I would just say he's like, for us, he's like what O.J. Simpson is to you guys, except for Cam Newton doesn't murder people and he's been a fantastic addition to our community and a wonderful person. Like, think about that's how important, theoretically, he is. And I continue to say this. Screw all the narrative that Cam Newton's a bad teammate and a bad person, because out of all the people I see all this crap with the Antonio Browns to everybody, Cam Newton has not been that for 1 second in his time with the Carolina Panthers. He's very special to me.
He gets that stigma because of the one thing after the Super Bowl, the walking away after the Super Bowl, and the season that he would put his towel over his head whenever he would go to the sideline. And that stuck with him his whole career, even though he's not like that anymore. He wasn't like that very long at all.
I think they believed it before that, too. It was all the towel over his head those first 2 years, and they wanted to not like him because he's black. Let's just be honest.
No, I agree. But the problem with it is you got people who don't really pay that much attention to Panthers games that are making these comments. You got people that are like sports commentators like Jason Whitlock and people like that claim they watch the games, and they may, but I guarantee you they're getting all their stuff from somebody pulling up their research for them, just putting it in front of them, and they're just spitting it. They may have a little bit of opinion in that too, but they're not watching all these games. Like, there's no way these people who are making all these comments are watching. They see what they see on Sports Center, what they see on Fox Sports News, and they run with that, whatever narrative's given with them. For me,
well, I think where the
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Going down in the chat room right now.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is that, one of the arguments that I get so frustrated with is, especially these people that don't really follow Cam or anything, and I've mentioned it before, are the people who want to sit there and question his leadership and his will to actually want to be the leader of the team. People don't believe he wants to go out there and win. He doesn't act like he's a leader. He doesn't act like he lives and eats football 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And to that, and to Frank, me and Frank, obviously, one of my buddies, we had our discussion on Cam. I respect his position because he uses stats and he doesn't bring in the aspect of Cam doesn't act like a leader. He doesn't bring that aspect of it into play. But when people do, I feel like they lose a lot of credibility because Cam Newton, if you watch anything of him, you see a leader, you see somebody who's working endlessly to try to bring this team to a Super Bowl championship. Like, that's all I feel he wants.
If anything, he feels the part of his problem is he feels too much pressure.
I think so too, and I think that that's part of the organization and the coaching because they haven't done enough to alleviate him having to be the MVP on the team every single year.
And it's become an emotional thing almost, I think.
Yeah, and then when we finally get somebody around who's going to take a little bit of that load off with Christian McCaffrey, what happens? He's hurt because he's getting older and he's a mobile quarterback. That's how it happens.
And they want Darrell Williams to be left tackle. Next call, it's 9 seconds. I don't know if it's.
Do you think Panthers should have drafted or went back and got Josh Norman, that he was open for trade?
Ooh.
Thanks.
All right, this was a question that came up earlier in the chat room I wanted to address. No movement. All of a sudden, we tried to hear all these stories about the Jets trading their whole team or whatever. You've heard these stupid stories about people thinking that Panthers were going to trade Cam Newton, which I would tell you this. If the Panthers traded Cam Newton this year, I think I would have had a hard time doing this show still. But nothing happened for us. What did you think about that? He brought up Josh Norman. Quiet on the trade deadline, Cody.
Yeah, we really didn't do anything this trade deadline. It doesn't really surprise me. I put on Twitter that if we traded for AJ Green, I was gonna do the show shirtless tonight. So you were all spared seeing my hairy chest. And I frankly did it because I knew that it really wasn't gonna happen. I really there weren't a lot of moves made at all. But there were a lot of rumors about Trent Williams, about a lot of different. The NFL trade season has been relatively lackluster.
It was this year. Greg, you kept pointing out. Tell me about this. You kept saying there's a missing spot on our roster. Right. What's the deal with this? There's a story supposedly goes along with it.
Yeah, well, I didn't read much on it. I just read that we had cleared up the one spot on the roster, so we were carrying 52. And a story that I read today was that before the trade deadline came at 4 o'clock today, that Hurney had a plan, and he had a plan for that one spot. And then lo and behold, 4 o'clock rolls around, and I message you guys, and nothing's happened. And then a story comes out, we're just going to roll with that open spot for the rest of the season.
For the whole rest of the season? Like, you don't get to add anybody?
I'm sure they're going to put like a punt returner or something in there. Some nobody that'll fumble the ball, like you said, will fumble the ball.
Right. At some point, why are we so bad? Whoever we bring in, it doesn't matter who they are, they muff the damn punt. And we haven't lost it a lot, but our return game sucks. Ashland says, don't need help in the secondary. 2 years ago we could have, but was injured and not needed at this point, referring to the call about Norman. Next call.
This is Joe from Oregon. I had to finally calm down from Sunday.
All over the place
Sunday was
tonight.
just terrible. But we're on to the new week. But
yeah, we're in Oregon.
I just have to say, I went back and watched that game. The receivers were open. There was throws that Kyle he was hesitating on. He wouldn't throw and he would get sacked. But the receivers were wide open. So I'm sure that, we look at it and say, yeah, Norm is, he's not calling the right plays, but maybe Norm is limited because he knows that Kyle can't do everything that's in the playbook. It was a lot of, I'm not talking about throws that was just, 40 yarders. It was his first 15 yards they was giving us. Richard Sherman was just sitting there. DJ was cooking them all game, but he just wasn't getting the ball. It was throws that they just he was not throwing, he wasn't seeing because he can't read the field. Greg Olsen was open a lot too. So that's something we got to fix. But that loss is on Ron. He played 4-3 that whole game. So none of the hybrid defense that, we were doing all summer, But,
is it really a 4-3 though if Bruce Irvin is in?
I think the defense slow, this is a big, you can't get 51 off a bye, that's a big one. You can't get that done to you. But, Ron, terrible loss of bye, so what do you expect? With that said, I think defense have a better showing next game, but if Kyle struggles next week, I would suggest that the defense could struggle too. And with that being said, the defense could keep in their mind, like, it doesn't matter what we do. This guy can't move the ball. But I think, we got Christian McCaffrey, so I think we'll beat Tennessee easily, so I'm not worried about that. But if it did come down the line and if Cam wasn't backed by Green Bay, I think Cam will be backed by Green Bay. But that's the target. I'm just ready for Cam to come back and see what we can do. I think he'll be very motivated because this team has so much talent, but if we don't, we got to win out. We got to win a lot of games. And we got to beat the Falcons twice. And I think if Ron loses to the Falcons once, he possibly could get fired right then and there because the Falcons are terrible. And at the rate that the Saints going, they're probably not going to lose no game soon. So we're going to have to get a wild card. So we're going to have to win these title games. And it's perfect. If you get hot late, get a wild card. Giants did it. Ravens did it. So it's possible. We got to keep to do it. Because you got to get our defense in order. You got to get that run defense in order. And that run defense is terrible. I mean, that was just uncalled for. If they didn't even throw the ball, if you look at it, like, they didn't throw the ball that much. Offensive line.
All right, I think this is the same person.
Okay, continue. Greg Little, is he going to retire?
This has to be his podcast before the
concussion protocol for second time already, so that's kind of troubling. I just think Ron I think he's doing too much. He knows he's on the hot seat, After this loss, he knows he's on the hot seat. So I'm sure that as soon as Cam Newton practices, he's going to be telling us everything. Because I think Ron knows that if he needs Cam back for him to keep his job, And I don't want Ron to keep his job on the hook.
I don't know if anybody. I don't know
if he doesn't make the playoffs this year, he's done.
What,
he knows
yeah.
that. So I think we will make the playoffs. We got enough talent.
Right.
We should make the playoffs. I think that all the teams that we got left on the schedule, they're all beatable. They're all beatable. So we just got to go in there. We got to get Cam back. Kyle got to get his last showing this week against Tennessee. A good shot. Give him a chance for the ball. Get the ball to Curtis Young.
All right. This might be crazy, but I think the next, and we're not going to do it. If the next 5 calls are all yours, bro, we can't.
What's up, C3?
No,
Jeff here again.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm taking up a little bit of time on the second call, but I had to call. I was having some ideas bounce off my head when I was hearing the podcast. Correct me if I'm wrong, but our defense last year was bottom half of the league, or like 15th or something like that, in run defense at the end of the year. And that was before we started implementing the 3-4. So I think it's been a little bit of a continuing problem with Ron Rivera's defense. And on to Ron Rivera, I honestly think he may have just started putting the nails in his coffin with that game this past weekend. And honestly, if he's not able to bounce back and have the defense have basically a an almost shutout day against the Titans, he may have just lost his job because I don't see David Tepper messing around it. This isn't Jerry Richardson era anymore, so we'll see. And I have to ask a question. It's Cam and Ron. If we ever lose Ron, it's probably, the statistics say we're probably not going to get as good of a coach. We might get a great offensive coach or whatever, but Ron Rivera has been a good coach. And you're rolling the dice when you get rid of him. That's a risk I'm willing to take. But answer this. When has Ron Rivera, or when has Cam Newton ever won a game because of Ron Rivera? Because from how I see it, a lot of the times he wins the games in spite of Ron Rivera. Now, if somebody could correct me and point to an example of when, Ron Rivera helped Cam Newton win a game,
I got it, but
I'd
it's
be all ears.
2013.
I'll be listening. Thanks, guys. Keep down it.
I got the example, but the sad part is it's 2013. Ron Rivera punts the ball with less than 2 minutes left in the game in the rainiest game in the history of the world versus the Saints. We punted the ball and we were losing, and that was the time Cam threw the touchdown to Hakeem Nicks. And he made this fantastic catch. Cam made this throw that was 6 inches off the ground, but still late. Everything, it was awesome. And we all said, why the hell is Ron Rivera punting the ball? And it worked. And by the way, to the Bills caller, I was listening to the Bills game on the radio, and Sean McDermott did the same exact thing in this game, except for they were down 20.
I want to talk about the importance of backup players. If anybody noticed, the Kansas City Chiefs had to bring someone off the street, Matt Moore, this last week. How important it is to have depth. So, give me a shout out.
All right, man.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You gotta have you have to have. Hey man, but listen, we've been talking about it all season. The rotation that we have on our defensive line we have a lot of guys that can get after the passer, and that's part of the reason why I'm staunch on we do have one of the better teams in football. And you're seeing that a lot this season, from Gardner Minshew to Kyle Allen to Teddy Bridgewater, and now you're talking about Matt Moore coming in for Patrick Mahomes, the former NFL MVP. So, and we all know about what Nick Foles did in the Super Bowl. So, quality depth is very important.
Well, and you're always going to be injured, and now, we could point this to the conversation of the offensive line. We don't really need to have it now, but, we've got Trey Turner. There's always movement. So you better have enough backup players that are good enough to keep your ship afloat. And kudos to Kyle Allen for doing that. We're not going to debate for 45 more minutes.
Josh, again, just something I thought of as far as the whole coaching versus players debate. You want a prime example of why coaching matters? There's one that's been going for 20 goddamn years. Maybe it's more obvious to me because I live up here and I have to hear it every fucking year. Dude, Bill Belichick.
You stupid, Josh.
Or are you going to tell me that it's the Tom Brady show and Tom Brady's the reason this team has been relevant for 2
Have you seen his hand
decades?
job video?
It's a combination of both.
Come on. You need no more proof than that. Oh, well, he got fired from the Browns. It's because the Browns, you look at the organization as a whole at that time.
Ifs and buts.
There's massive problems. Basically, they were running the organization like, if you don't take us to the promised land, you're fired. And that's basically how that all went. That's not a real commentary on Bill and the things he did or didn't do.
Yes, it is. Shush.
Just that organization. Some organizations are they're just dumb as hell.
Right, they're dumpster fires.
I'm stopping the call there. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Think of Bill Walsh and fucking Joe Montana. Think of
And Joe Montana won without him. Yep.
But think of also Drew Brees and Sean Payton, or all the coaches who have had a great quarter. Like, you can't. Have you ever seen a quarterback? When was the only coach that won? Tell me the coach that won a Super Bowl with a bad team.
A bad team altogether?
Yeah,
Exactly.
with bad talent. Somebody name the team.
But listen, the wires
the
are
coach-
getting crossed here. Listen, the wires are getting crossed here.
No,
because you
y'all
and-
are crossing
No,
them.
they're not. You and Greg are not saying that coaching doesn't matter, correct?
Right.
Thank you.
We're not
Right.
saying coaching
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Right.
Jesus.
And we're not saying that coaches can make a play for the players. But when your team isn't prepared for a big game like that, and you know you have a talented football team, preparation is on your coaches every single time. And if the Carolina Panthers were not prepared, it was because of Ron Rivera.
No, maybe if you're in Pop Warner football, but when you're making $35 million this year and you've been doing it for the last 25 years of your life, preparation is somewhat on you too. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
it's on everyone,
Preparation is
but
somewhat on you
it's
too.
on everyone. But
Exactly.
it's mainly on Ron Rivera.
But he still can't make them physically do it. It's like I was telling you about the carrot before. I can tell you eat a carrot every 3
But Greg, are
hours,
you
but if
going to
don't
tell
do
me
it, it doesn't matter.
that Luke Kuechly doesn't know how to tackle? Of course,
No,
Luke
but I'm
knows how to
saying Luke
tackle.
Kuechly might miss a tackle. Are you going to blame that on Ron Rivera if Luke Kuechly misses a tackle?
I'm saying we have seen this too many seasons
We've
in
been
a row
having-
to write it off as players and players and
It's
players.
a fun conversation.
I'm gonna harp down on the
argument.
same
All right,
shit.
All right. So that's it. All right, we've got. I think that's all the calls. Let's go ahead. Quick picks, and I think there's only 2 NFC South games. Panthers host the Titans. We're 4.5 point favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Panthers got to get right here, and if the Panthers don't get right here, then imagine this stupid conversation then. And then, but the Panthers are going to win this. They're going to put up some points. 27-17 Panthers. They cover the spread. And push on the over.
The over under was what, 42?
Wouldn't that make 42? What's 27-17? Is that right? No, that'd be 44. So they go over.
I'm going to take Carolina in a much closer matchup. I'm going to say 21-17.
All right.
CK, what you got, man?
Like I said,
Dude,
I hate to say it.
Is anybody picking the Titans?
I think I have to, just because the Titans show up when they're not supposed to.
Yes, I like it. Well, how gutsy.
And plus the last few times I've picked against the Panthers, they've won. So there's a little bit of selfishness in me picking against them now.
All right, I like it. And Greg?
I'm at a 21-14.
Right.
I'm going to go serious
2
get-right
touchdowns.
game. Carolina is going to win 38-17. No, 38-21.
Yeah,
38-21. I'm taking the over. We're going to have a defensive touchdown. Christian McCaffrey's going to score at least 3 touchdowns somehow through the air or on the ground.
It
And
is
have a career
possible
day.
since Tevin Coleman had 4 against us.
I know.
It is possible
Ridiculous.
to do that. The other game is, who else is playing this week? It was
I don't
the
know.
Saints and the Falcons are on a bye, so it's the Bucks at Bucks at Seattle.
Oh.
Seattle 6.5 point favorites. I think I'm ready to take the Seattle Seahawks on this. I mean, why would you pick the Bucks at any point? Yes, they have the ability to put up points, but good gosh, can they really go? I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks here, and I think they win somewhere in the range of maybe 23-19. How do you get to 19? I don't know. We'll have to have a safety in there.
Normally whenever I predict a team to win big, it's always either close or the team I'm choosing loses. But I am going to say Seattle by a good margin. I think it's going to be around 37-17, I'll say, at home.
CK?
We need the Bucks to win because right now, I mean, Seattle Seahawks are playing for a wild card.
Your style, brother.
We do need the Bucks to win, and I'm gonna say the Bucks show up because the Seattle Seahawks have been less than impressive the last 2 weeks. I think the Bucks show up and they win 35-28.
Ooh, something the Bucks would do, jerks, too.
Yep.
They would do something
CK,
like
can we make this a bicycle for two men? Because I was going to say the same thing. I think where the Bucks are really strong is their front seven. And I think that if you can
get after them against the Titan, or who was it last week?
That's just one game though. I mean, they shut down Christian McCaffrey a couple times. They shut down Todd Gurley.
Good run stop.
Yeah, they're good run stop. So I think that if they can shut down Chris Carson and they can shut down Russell Wilson, because that's what the Seahawks historically do best, is they're a great running team. I think they've got the offensive power to put up the numbers. They put up 40s a couple times this year already. I think the Bucks have. Or maybe not 40s, maybe high 30s. I'm going to go with Bucks. I'm going to go with CK, and I'm going to say 30-24 Bucks.
All right.
30-24 Bucks.
Once again, what you learned is nobody knows what the hell's going to happen. That's exactly what you learned from all of our guessing at nonsense in so many ways. All right, so I think that's about it. We just got to ice some mugs out, and let's get out of here. I got to try to grab a beat writer because the San Francisco, I also fell asleep. I was supposed to call somebody up, and I fell asleep. I had a bad, sick day last week, but I got to get the beat report back. But other than that, we're just back to the post game after the Titans. So let's ice some fools up, and then what is it? Is it a 1 o'clock game this week? Please say yes.
Yes, it is. It is.
The post game is so much better at 1.
Yeah, I agree.
I may or may not be going to this game. We'll see.
Okay. All right. So who you got to ice up? What you got? Who wants to start?
I don't know if anybody has something offhand. I kind of got something that I can use to go first. I'm going to ice up 2 and 1. I'm going to ice up Senator Richard Burr from North Carolina.
Thank you.
Along with the NCAA. Because in case you didn't hear, the NCAA has now permitted that college athletes can make money off of their name and likeness. And by the way, before everyone starts giving NCAA all this kudos, the NCAA is forced into this. After California passed their legislation to allow college athletes to be able to do this, they know that it's just a domino effect. And eventually, if they don't get out ahead of this, and if they're behind the curve when all these other states are letting players do this, then the domino effect is just going to fall and crumble them, and bad PR up and down. So they're not good guys, okay? They just did this to save face. But Senator Richard Burr, now who's all up in his feelings because of this, he now put out a tweet that says if college athletes are going to make money off their likenesses while in school, their scholarships should be treated like income. I'm introducing a legislation that subjects scholarships given to athletes who choose to cash in to income taxes. So Richard Burr is salty as shit to these players that are putting their body through a rigorous amount, going through training and two-a-days and having to manage their classrooms and their GPAs and having to diet and go to the weight room and go to team meetings. All these things on top of each other. And if they get hurt, guess what? They might be done playing football forever. So I want to say F Richard Burr, and I will fuck Richard Burr. But I also say to him and the NCAA, ice up, son.
I think you also should point out he's our state senator, too.
I did, so. North Carolina.
Oh, you did? Like, yeah, I mean, like, it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
All right, who wants it next?
I got it. I'm still thinking. Somebody else got to go.
All right. CK, you got anything, or you want to need me to go?
No, I can ice somebody up, and it goes back to the original ice up. Welcome to Miami. Keep Talib. Ice up, son. Ice up.
Yeah.
I know. I thought that was fun. That was kind of on my mind as well. I think I want to ice up. Who do I want to ice up? I feel like I don't know. I don't have a good one this week. I really want to. I'm icing up Ron Rivera. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm icing up Ron Rivera because Cody and CK, they've become these fanboys. All the fans, and they've sent them fan letters now to Cody and stuff, and they say like, "Oh, is that I think you're right. At the end of the day, is that each and every moment that I try to offer some evidence of falling the other way, I think that you guys are winning the argument right now. So my position is Ron ice up and win the argument back, I guess. Other than that,
I want him. I think everybody here would agree we want Ron to be successful.
Of course we do.
Yeah, everybody wants that.
Successful Ron Rivera equals successful Carolina Panthers.
We're and all sexful Carolina Panthers.
And sexful Carolina Panthers.
Oh, actually, you know what? I will add this ice up. Is I was thinking about this today. Is all the bullshit that happens. I heard another thing with Odell Beckham Jr., which is nothing. It was so minor, and how shitty the Browns are. But then you think of all of the hype around all these people, all the distractions of these certain players that are just ridiculous, whether it comes to Antonio Brown, to whatever. And the idea that Cam is not that, like, people associate, like, he's not been any of that to us. So all those people too, screw you. And don't forget, you can't toss our best player in the franchise history to the side just because 4 games of Kyle Allen. So ice up to all you fools that want to dump your girlfriend just because one other girl batted her eyes at you and she a slut.
Yeah, and a basic bitch.
Yeah, so that's actually a better way of describing it. Yeah. Basic.
Well, Tony kind of stole mine, man. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, man, I was like, I got to ice up the Panthers. So I'll just give a little bit different of an explanation, mainly because of this beat down we took. But I'm gonna give blame to both coaching and the players, because I truly do feel like it's not Ron Rivera's fault when Luke Keely misses an arm tackle. And in the same manner, it's not Christian McCaffrey's fault when we're first and goal on the 1 yard line with 1 play left and they run Christian McCaffrey on an end round sweep. So because of that, I'm gonna say the entire Panthers organization needs to ice up. We need to get ourselves together, get on one page, and come back from this beatdown we just had and have that be the point in our season that we turn ourselves around, we make the playoffs, we do a push right here, beat the hell out of the fucking Saints, man. And, yeah, let's do it, man. Panthers, ice up.
I just want there to be a situation that exists where nobody gets to say, I told you so. I want that.
Can we all just be happy? Can we have that moment where we get to that point and we all reach there?
I am not giving up on this season. No one who's blaming the coaches or the players are giving up on this season. Keep pounding, motherfuckers. That's our motto. Keep pounding. It's not stop pounding when the going gets rough. It's keep pounding. And that's what the fuck we do on the C3 Carolina Cat Chronicles podcast, baby.
Love the passion.
That's it. My name's Tony Dunn. You find us on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. live, post-game show at cat_chronicles. Subscribe, smash the thumbs up button. Cody, where can they hit you up on Twitter?
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC on Twitter. Hit me up, man. Oh, and hey, shout out to Dakota Tumbleston. And I'm telling you, we are going to have a C3 Discord. Me and Tony are going to make that happen. I will make that happen.
You got to teach me all about it.
We will do it. The Discord is coming. I promise. Oh, we will. Trust me. You will hear it. It'll be fantastic for all of our fans. And a brand new draft type mock draft tomorrow. Brand new comments for the Panthers and the Houston Texans.
Greg, where can they get you?
You can hit me up directly at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter, or you can talk to me through my other show. It's the Super Civil Servant Podcast at SCS Podcast 1 on Twitter. Hit me up.
CK, Code Dizzle, Allen, the coolest name on Twitter. Is the boy asleep?
Yeah, man. You guys can find me at ronsnumber1fan.com. I'm just kidding. No.
You silly. You silly. I hope your kid wakes up right now.
Codizzle Allen, man, pretty easy to spell it out, awesome. But I'm always on the Twitter with on the Twitter doing the tweeting thing with
there you go.
Tony.
How many? How many?
Have we gotten to 100 yet?
How many?
Let me do a quick. We're not at 100. I can tell you that much.
He's at 91.
Listen,
91 or 92.
Get this man to 100 followers.
Yeah.
Come on. This man needs 100 followers.
Step.
Do it. Let's do it by the
and if
time
you're
we
listening,
see each other
all
on
to the
Sunday.
30 people listen to this podcast at the end. God bless you. You better already be following them. All right, we'll be here after the game. C3 Panthers podcast. Keep pounding.
Keep motherfucking pounding.